they're really upping their game on a regular basis.
They are. I got that email too. It was like, oh, pay all this money and you get all these features.
Yeah, the only issue is it still struggles with internet connections, especially mine. So
yeah,
whatever.
Of course, story of our lives.
It's been a little bit.
It has.
It's been a chaotic 2 weeks.
That it has, brother.
Obviously,
that it has.
We had this bizarre storm that absolutely leveled North Carolina on the western side of the state, and we got a good bit of it here in South Carolina. We were out of power for multiple days. It is now back as of yesterday.
That's good.
The worst part of it all was having to throw away everything in our fridge, and if that's the worst part of it all, then I think we did all right. So
agreed.
Considering how bad Chimney Rock is and Asheville and that whole sort of realm, it could be infinitely worse, and I'm glad it's not.
Oh, for sure.
It was me and Kate. Our honeymoon was actually to Lake Lure and Chimney Rock and stuff, and so seeing it, just everything that we went and did and saw, just gone. It blows my mind because I don't think anybody saw this happening from a storm that wasn't even really anywhere close to us. Like we got more wind damage and stuff from that storm than we got from hurricanes that hit us direct. Like
really?
It's really strange. Yeah, it's really bizarre. So it was
crazy, man.
It was a weekend. It's an interesting weekend.
Yeah,
stayed at my parents' house. So
it's funny. That's where I proposed to Anna Maria. Was at Lake Lure and Chimney Rock and all that. Yeah, and right off Lake Lure. Actually, it was at the Botanical Gardens, and like seeing pictures, man.
That bridge,
wild. Yeah, dude, that bridge.
The bridge, yeah, dude. Katie showed me pictures of that now, and it's depressing, man, because that was such a cool little feature there. That town and stuff, and
that whole area, man, is gorgeous.
Bummer.
But I'm glad that all of our friends in the Panhandle.
Other than that, everything's good.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I know Harry was planning for sort of mass destruction, and he got fortunate. They somehow lucked out and really got nothing in terms of damage. I don't think he even lost power, which is surprising because it was.
Did Florida get
right over him? I don't know. The whole thing is just
Yeah, I got a horrible wind and rain, but like nothing that we're really not used to. It was just a lot of it. And then I know Billy kind of got the same thing in Tampa area, got the same thing. And then, Harry wow, I can't talk tonight. The A word that he lives
Tallahassee.
In. Jesus. No, I was going to say Apalachicola. He had blue skies. And then I talked to the Connexus boys, Jeremy, Tyler, Meekers, and they were all good. They all never lost power or nothing. So luckily it missed the what I'd like to call the fragile areas, and then it hit the people that weren't ever prepared for it, unfortunately. So yeah. But we will rebuild.
Crazy.
Yeah. What are you smoking tonight, Smitty?
Monte Cristo Espada Oscuro.
Oh, nice.
This is probably my favorite of the Monte Cristos.
You are lagging a little bit.
It's a fantastic smoke. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go hit my modem up real quick. So
I timed that perfectly.
Marco.
Polo.
Okay. Yeah, I may end up having to restart my modem again, but
yeah.
Espada, man, this is a great smoke. This is like a Corona Doble, kind of like how the Liga 9s and T52s have the longer. I threw away the wrapper; it has the dimensions on it, but it's good. We started my boss decided last night, I guess, to start a drive for people in North Carolina. And so today I spent the majority of the workday in the garage part of the building, which has like zero AC and zero airflow, sorting out stuff to send up there. And a lot of people brought stuff. So figured with the amount of sweat I put into the day, I was like, let me go ahead and get me something a little fancier. And since
Nice.
we've been gone for what feels like a long time, and to come back proper.
Yeah, why not?
But real quick, this is Snakes and Stogies episode 218. It's brought to you by blackboxcages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN24. Get a little bit off your order there. A little something. Racks, cages, you need it. They got it. Shop around. You won't be disappointed. I don't think they got anything major because they're up near Casey Cannon. Casey Cannon was also preparing for sort of unbelievable flooding that he tends to get in his area during these things. He said it went, I think, east of them or west of them. It went to one side and they didn't get any of that. So I'm assuming Jen and Clint and the gang, they ended up okay too. So check them out. Again, awesome racks, awesome cages. You won't be disappointed. And then fulvisapparel.com, hats, mugs, bookmarks, hoodies, t-shirts, all that
Coffee
good
mugs.
stuff. Coffee mugs. Also use the code THN at checkout. Get 20, not THN24. Use the code THN at checkout. Get 15% off your order. That is the exclusive promo code for THN listeners and viewers like you. You can get this Bacillotharia shirt that I'm wearing here that I love dearly. I have to unfold it from all my fat folds.
Dude, the other spider shirt came out fantastic.
That the Pamphibedius one.
Yes.
Was
Yeah, it's
going
cool.
off the Vitruvian man thing.
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was something
Cool.
just fun I thought of. I was like, you know what? That'd be the perfect genus to do that with because they're just so massive and
Wide.
leggy. Yeah.
Yes.
I am doing, there is currently a giveaway that I will be drawing for on the 8th. If you go to Facebook or Instagram, you can see how to enter with that. But you basically will get to pick whatever you want. 3 things off the website. 100% shipped, everything on me.
Nice.
Just got to do some sharing and some tagging and the usual dance with the giveaways. So go check that out. I think, I'm going to try and time it so that we do the drawing on whatever Monday that ends. Whatever the following Monday is, maybe. I don't know. I gotta go back and look. Cold-blooded caffeine. You need really, really, really good coffee. Go grab some. They are doing a collaboration with a brewery up there in their area.
Really?
I believe they are. The official release, I want to say, is the 18th. And I think you can go to the brewery that evening and check it out and try it out. So if you're in South Carolina, Low Country, Charleston area, I may make the trip up there and go hang out and check it out. I'm not a big beer drinker, but I'll definitely drink it.
Yeah.
Hit up Trey and follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well and stay in the loop. So, but yeah. So, I mean, updates wise, I don't know if you really have anything. I don't have anything major. I got one more corn clutch that is due to hatch like any day now. Don't know what they're waiting on.
Man. Yeah.
I know that. Well, this clutch was late. I got it like the end of July. So we're on day 67.
Okay.
So literally any day now, the condensation on the lid is getting more and more. So they're definitely getting closer and closer by the day. And then, yeah, and everything else is pretty much business as usual. Baby rhinos being baby rhinos. I'm going to start offering some pinkies with those to see if I can get some to take.
Cool.
All but one are rocking and rolling on rosies. I've got one that is just not getting with the program. So we'll see what happens there. But it's just hard to believe that cooling time is going to be upon us here soon. I feel like every year, man, the season just ends and it's like, good Lord, it's already over. Like it's just comes and goes in a flash. I feel like the whole process just feels like it's just yesterday. You're bringing everything up, getting everything ready to pair, and then season's over and it's time to start all over again. So
yeah,
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, man.
My Metallica molted over the weekend in the storm, so I'm really
very cool.
Really want to see that out of the burrow a little more at some point soon.
Nice.
That blue's starting to come in a little bit. Oh
yeah. Love it.
Yeah, so that's it for me. What do you got?
Status quo on my end. I went to go. I fed the fuscus, the water pythons, a bigger than normal meal, and the girl took it no problem, and the boy left it, and I was like, man, is he like ready to go now? Like, should I just put him together now? And then I realized, no, it was a freaking hurricane. So I don't know if that pressure system had something to do with it. Maybe it turned him on. I don't know, but I'm gonna try and feed him again.
Winter breeders like carpets are?
Yeah, same exact thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was gonna I'll try and feed him again this week, and if he doesn't take again, I'm just gonna throw them together, see what happens. You know, maybe that's been my failure last year, was I put them together too late. So we shall see. Other than that, everything else is the same. I moved juvenile rock rattlesnakes into larger tubs. I mean, they're still tiny tubs, but they went from like 8 quart to 18 quart. So now they look like this noodle in a giant bowl. But other than that, man, status quo. No news is good news. So, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, tonight I'm smoking. I can never pronounce this, but it's L'Atelier. L'Atelier. But bro, this wrapper was just too good. Look at this wrapper. It's like amber.
They make good stuff.
So it had to be smoked. But yeah, that's it on my end. No news is good news. Tonight we're joined by a very special guest. Some of you may have seen him on the television. Some of you may have seen him on YouTube or even just Instagram. We're joined tonight by Jeff the Animal Guy. What's up, Jeff?
Guys? What's going on? I'm glad to be here, man. Long time coming. I'm glad to be on. Long time listener, first time podcaster with you.
I love it.
I guess
I love it.
They say in the radio podcast world, right?
It's good. So normally when we have guests on, we kind of let them do like a little bit about me for all the people that have not seen your stuff. Do you want to give us a little backstory as to all that is Jeff?
Yeah. How far you want me to go back? Like,
I mean, whatever you want to do. You could.
Where did it start, and how did you get to where you were now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I've always loved animals. Always. I think true animal people are just born with that. And I've always been into animals. I've always loved animals. And I always wanted to work with them. Like I think I was a zookeeper for Halloween when I was a kid. Every year, I think I outgrew the zookeeper outfit, but I think I was a zookeeper for Halloween until I was like a senior in college. But I'd have a little patch, and then walk around with a little fuzzy monkey and a banana in my pocket. And I just always loved animals, And then I went to college up here. And I always had a thing with animals. Like my parents had a cottage, and I go to this cottage, and there's this dog that would go on the beach, a little black lab. It just bite everyone that was on the beach. And my parents would have photos of me sitting there, like feeding this dog out of my hand, and like animals kind of. It was crazy, but I just loved it, And when I got older, I went to college for animal management. It's kind of like how they have like Moore Park in California, and I think it's called the Teaching Zoo down in Florida. There's one up here where you like work at the zoo and do things like that. So as that was going on, I had my whole entire parents' basement full of reptiles. I was a big reptile guy first, and I'm in New York, and there used to be no venomous law. So let's go back though. I was probably 14, and I lied about my age, got a job at a pet store that my parents knew the owners. So I started working there, and the first paycheck, I brought home an iguana, a big green iguana, baby. I'm like, oh, they couldn't pay me this week, so they gave me this iguana. And my parents were like, okay, whatever. Next week, I'm in the back of the thrifty ads in the paper, because this is pre-internet, and I got like a 75-gallon fish tank, and it, got some artificial turf in there. This is like old school, man. And set it all up. And then the next week I brought home, they had a hingeback tortoise there that they got in, from one of the reptile distributors, and no one could get it feeding. And I like made it my life's mission to get this thing feeding, and I did. So they're like, you know what? Just take it. So I ended up taking that. And then my parents were like, seriously? I'm like, well, we'll have the tortoise on the bottom, the iguana on the top. I'm doing mixed exhibits in 1989 or whatever, But so, old school days. And so I kind of had that. And then I filled my parents were, cool with that stuff. I got some other things, and they're like, no snakes, no snakes, no snakes. Well, growing up, then I like begged my parents for a snake. I need a snake. And I didn't smoke, drink, do drugs, nothing. I was straight edge, sung in a hardcore band called Pride, and it was a big straight edge dude. And
That's awesome.
I remember my dad talking. Yeah, my dad was talking, and he was like, yeah, you know what? We didn't have to worry about him going out. I would hit up all my friends. I had a car, and I'd be like, everyone give me gas money. And I'd use the gas money to buy another snake at the pet store or something, and or another lizard, I should say, because when I was allowed the snake, I ended up getting, my parents were like, fine, you could have a snake. And my whole bedroom looked like a pet store. I had a bed underneath. It was a giant cage I built for an iguana, stuff all the way around the room. And I just started getting all these snakes. I remember my dad walking in. I would put them in the paper bag that they pet store given me. Again, a snake in a paper bag. That's going back, man. I've been doing this a long time. And I would hook it up, and I would use a paper clip or a clothespin, and I put it on, and I would throw the rope out my window, put it on outside, and pull it up into my bedroom, and then put a snake in the tank that was in my room. And I remember my dad coming in going, wait a minute, you got like 15 snakes in here. I'm like, yeah. He goes, we allowed one. I said, you're not going to believe this. She gave birth. I got all, my dad's like, listen, I was born at night. It wasn't last night. Okay. He goes, you got this on. This one's orange. That one's green. That one's black. That one's
That's
got
awesome.
rings on it. That was, yeah, dude. It was just like, it was an addiction. It was a serious addiction. And I was like, dude, no one's changing my mind. Like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to figure out a way to make it work. So I was working in the pet store. I had a collection. This lawyer guy came in. I was 17, I think. And he comes in, very well-to-do guy, and he said to me, he's like, you ever mess around with vipers? And I'm like, no, but I would kill for one, in the old TFH book, Venomous Snakes of the World, with the white-lipped viper on the cover,
Yes,
I was like,
I have that.
I believe it's the white lip. I could still see the eyes. And I was like, he brings these things in a deli cup. And this is back in the day when people just started doing deli cups, and they had these little green, like fishing lure worms. And he goes, that's a venomous snake. I was like, no way. He's like, $25. You could have one. I was like, what? So I'm like, okay, I got to do this, right? I knew nothing about it. I get this white lip. Then you're feeding them pinky parts. I'm 17 years old, no laws. I told my parents, I'm like, this lawyer guy sold me a venomous snake. My parents are like, okay, don't get bit. Like, I don't think they really, and to this day when I talk, they're like, I don't think we really realize. Next thing you know, I'm like, listen, there's this green price sheet that gets mailed out to my house once a month. It's Glades Herp, and I can get a Gaboon Viper. So next thing you know, I'm 17. I got a Gaboon Viper. I start working at a place called another pet store called Exotic Pets. They started, I wanted pygmy rattlesnakes forever. I got pygmies in. And knock on wood, I've been doing this now 35 years, venomous stuff, 32 years, never been bit. Use tools. Don't freehand. Don't mess around. You know what I mean? But I'm very, very careful with what I do. And, it's crazy. So time went on. I ended up going to college for it, where you intern at the zoo and intern at like the aquarium and different things like that. And it was so funny because I just ran into a guy that I'm not going to say names of zoos, but the zoo I was at, I was hand raising audads, big horn sheep, and I know in Texas, people in Texas are like, who cares? They run around here like deer, but I love them. I fell in love with them.
Yeah, dude, audads are awesome. We saw Smitty and I saw them when we were driving down the road in Texas.
Oh yeah. I'd run out of the car and catch them. I'd catch them, bring them home in my glove box. So I fell in love with these things. And then the zoo shows up this guy, and they're loading them in the truck. And my job was, as an intern in college, I'm loading them up. You grab them behind the neck and back, and you hold them like this across your chest and load them in the trailer. And this guy says to me, I go, where are they going to? He goes, some questions are better yet better not asked or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes, they're going up to a canned hunt. I turned around, I popped the door open and let them all back out in the exhibit. And I got let go from the college. I had to go work at a vet clinic because they didn't want me. The zoo didn't want me there because of what I did. And then my teacher, like, she's like, you don't understand. Some people just love animals. Some people are born to do it. And this kid's born to do it. You got to allow him back in. So they let me work in the program again, but I went back in the children's zoo where I was just using a big sweeper to sweep up goat poop all day. And, but whatever, I did it, put my time in, and it was crazy. But I ran into that guy last week because I was getting some nil guy because I have a lot of hoof stock and crazy stuff, and I was getting some nil guy, and he looks at me and he goes, "How do I know you?" I said, "I don't know. You look the same to me. You're missing the curly mustache though." And he goes, you used to work at the zoo?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're the kid that kicked the door open and let everything back out onto the mountain after it took us 6 hours to load them." I said, "Yeah, they weren't going to disappear on my dime, And so it's funny, full circle, And he goes, "And now you're getting nil guy from me." I'm like, "Yep, full circle, So it's wild, but yes, I always loved them. And then I was offered a job at a zoo, and they wanted me to kind of be like, and I had all these animals. I ended up taking over my parents' basement. They went out of town for a weekend. I took over even more of their basement and had all these reptiles. And I went to, all my friends were in Daytona Beach in college, and I'm in a hazmat suit spraying natural crap off the wall. Okay, like doing all the stuff that people don't want to do. I'll never forget. There's a guy in the primate house, the primate keeper, and I'm cleaning cages, and he's eating bananas and watching Oprah Winfrey show in a hammock, and I'm in the back room doing his job that he's getting paid for. So I go through the college program, really put it in because this is going back, God, 27, 28 years ago, where you would give your right arm to work in a zoo. You know what I mean? Or get into a pet store. I cut my pinky off right now to work in this pet store, and work at this zoo. And nowadays, people want to work, but it's crazy. So I just wanted to do whatever I could, and I went for a meeting, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to make you like the Jack Hanna of the zoo." And I'm like, "That's awesome." Okay, it's the first time I wore a shirt with a tie. I don't wear a shirt and tie unless someone dies. I don't tuck my shirt in either and kiss my ass, but I just do what I want to do. So I get there, and they're like, "You ready for this? You're going to be the Jack Hanna of this zoo where you're going to go worldwide." I'm like, "Okay." They're like $4.15 an hour and partial benefits. And I was just like shocked.
I mean, how do you say no to that?
I stood up and I said, Mighty Taco, it's a big thing here up in Buffalo. It's a big fast food taco place. I said, they get a sign. They're hiring for $8.50 an hour, full benefits and free lunch. And they're like, "Oh, we thought you were shocked. You were so excited." I said, "No, I was insulted." I said, "You know what? I'm starting a company today. I'm going home, and I'm gonna start this company, and I'm gonna take all your summer shows. I'm gonna take all your rec centers. I'm gonna take all your daycares. I'm gonna do everything. They won't even know you guys do shows where you leave the zoo anymore." And they're like, "Oh, we'd love to see it." And I went home, depressed, bummed out, and I had all these animals, so I would do stuff for some of the Buffalo Sabres players and Buffalo Bills players. And the one day, one of the Buffalo Sabres, tipped me with some seats to a game. So I'm sitting there, and my dad was like, "Hey, you know how they have Bozo the clown?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You should be like Bozo the reptile guy." I go, "What?" He goes, "Big hat, some funny shoes." I'm like, he goes, "You're a smart ass. You crack jokes, have a good time with it, educational entertainment, And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "You should start a company and start doing that." I'm like, "Yeah." And back in the day, he's drinking a beer, we're sitting at a hockey game, not thinking much of it. And then the next day, I was, going to college for a small business management course, driving auto parts around for like a Napa. And this local radio station says, "Yeah, what should we get this DJ Weeze? What do we get him for his birthday?" And I'm like, I never get through, never won tickets, nothing. I call up, I'm like, "You need to get him a reptile birthday party." And they're like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Jeff the animal guy." And they're like, "Who's Jeff?" I just gave myself a name. And then I said the name of my company, Nickel City Reptiles and Exotics. And they go, "What?" I always said I was going to open up a zoo and call it Nickel City Reptiles first. It was just going to be a serpentarium kind of thing. And I said, Nickel City Reptiles. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I come to your house, I bring a python, wrap your kids up, bring an alligator. It's awesome. Animals put a tarantula and this and that. And she's like, what's your phone number? I had a pager. And I paid the extra $7 a month for the automated voice, like you'd play a rap song, play some Wu-Tang, or whatever, and leave a message, and cash rules everything around me. Leave a message. I'm not here right now, so I paid the extra $7 a month, and to play some stupid thing on there. Beginning of Dr. Dre, they're like, welcome to Death Row. I changed it. I was like, welcome to Jeff Rowe, and a pager or whatever. It's so stupid. So like, it's just doing dumb kid things. The younger generation will never understand the power of the pager and the messages. So I'm on this phone. They leave me on the air for 11 minutes, which is crazy back in the day on the radio.
Yeah.
I give out my name. I give out my pager number. I hang up. I got 150 calls, and I booked 154 programs, birthday parties, libraries, everything, just from this radio moment. I went back to Napa and an auto place up here, and they were like, were you on the cell phone for this long? It's $4 a minute. You're never going to get a check this month, and the whole 9 yards. But I'm like, whatever. And I used to DJ like house music and rap music and stuff at nightclubs, and then do kids' birthday parties during the day. And then it was just crazy. And then I remember my dad being like, you got to get a real job. I'm like, what are you going to teach people how to pet a donkey? I'm like, no, I'm taking this. You're the big shot at a post office, and you hate your life. I'm going to do something I love. Yeah. Follow my dream, follow my passion. Yeah, so, I mean, God bless anyone that has to work factory jobs and do that. But I was just like, I wasn't going to do it. I couldn't do it. I had to do something around animals, and then, I started the company, Nickel City Reptiles and Exotics, met my wife, who's a girlfriend at the time, but she's like, why do you just have reptiles? She's like, 89% of women, when she looked it up, the computer was just starting to be a thing. She's like, our school teachers, they want to see furry creatures. I'm like, okay. So we changed the name to Nickel City Reptiles and Exotics, and we started doing even more school shows. And I married her, because I mean, that's a keeper. You come up with an idea like that, So, yeah, and then it just formed, and we went from there. I got USDA licensed. At the time, I ended up getting a CBW permit for radiated tortoises and lemurs and clouded leopards, and yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild, man. And I've always been addicted. We went on a honeymoon, and she's like, just let's do nothing with animals. I bought the big San Diego Zoo animal book with me, like I'm a 6-year-old kid, and all these reptile magazines. And she's like, oh my God, this is an addiction. This is a problem. I'm like, you have no idea. Yeah. You have no idea.
Dude, it's what we do, man.
Yeah,
it's
man.
What we do.
Yeah, it's certain rainbow, and it's just, yeah, man, I just loved it ever since, and I never looked back. And then we started the company, and time went on, and I started having really good animals, bush babies and binturongs and Siberian lynx. And back in the day, there was no laws with like certain people couldn't touch them, or you can't do this, or you can't. So I mean, my animals were bomb proof. We bring them to all these things and all these events. So then we started getting the foot in the door, where we started bringing a lot of them on TV shows and stuff for different celebrity people and things like that, because they were like, this guy, we don't have to worry about something running loose on set. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's got it handled. And then it just kind of went from there and took off, and then my dad went from like, what are you going to teach people how to, pet a donkey, to walking around with his Tonight Show zip up going, this is my son, you see Tonight Show. My son was on the Tonight Show. He's done it 49 times, blah, blah, blah. And he tells him all these stories and line for coffee. So, so it was pretty wild, but yeah, man, it's been wild. But yeah. And then on the side note, right along, I was always like, not only doing TV shows and things with it, I had the general love for this stuff. So it's like, I gotta have it, so I was like, I found ways to get things I've always wanted. And, I have a heck of a collection. And educational ambassadors and like everything. When I was a kid, I wanted lemurs. My parents are like, Santa never brought me one. My mom's like, you get your own house, you can get all the lemurs you want. That's what I did. And now we're getting twin ring-tail lemurs born every 6 months, man. I got 3 different groups of lemurs going, rough lemurs, and just it's a, I'm doing something right because they're like that. But then I got, shingle skinks and monktail skinks and Kimberly rocks and just like any kind of reptile that's giant marine toads, alligator snapping turtles, and Nile crocs, alligators, and yeah, man, it just I live it. I live it.
It's awesome.
And they what do the Migos say? Walk it like you talk it. I guess they could say I'm that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just the addiction part of it, if that's what you want to call it, I guess. I it's so frustrating because it can't be explained in a way that people understand unless they're in it.
No. And it's tough because for years, like we go to like weddings or I go to parties or something, and my wife's like, "Stop talking about yourself all the time." I'm like, I don't mean to, but people find out, they're like, "Wait a minute, he's got how many snakes? Like, where are they? Are they in your house? You keep them? Where do you?" And for a long time, I'm smart ass, so I'd be like, "Oh, they're all in my bathroom. You just got to get them all out of the tub before the wife has to take a shower." And make a joke about it. But people know what you do or know you have snakes, you go to a wedding or something like that. They want to talk to you because to most people, they're like, "You have what? What? You have an alligator? What?" And it's just something different. So people just want to talk to you about it. And then when people are like, "Why?" That's the hardest thing, Smitty. Like, you're so right. It's hard to explain. Like, no, I love them and I have a passion for them. And they're just like, why?
Yeah.
Some people think it's cool. Some people are like, what? Huh? But you want animals that can kill you? What? I'm like, well, you drive a car every day, you could die in a car crash. So,
and I did a post not that long ago sort of talking about that and how, like, my coworkers asked me about the stuff that I'll get something in.
I saw that.
I get most stuff delivered to work, and people ask me about it, and for a long time I'd mentioned that, like, as a kid, people would ask me. It was kind of like embarrassing to talk about it and myself, I guess, in a way that, because sort of no matter what way you spin it, at least it's not as bad as it used to be, but people still just look at you weird. Like, why?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't really have an answer for you that's going to make sense. So therefore I really don't want to talk about it that much, because it's not going to help you look at it any better, So I don't know. And I talked about how as I get older, I care less and less. And it's like, I keep these things and people are like, why? And it's like, I just do. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. With me, it was easier because I was just kind of like, people are like, oh, I get it. It's for get it. So it was easier that way, but I get it, man. It's
people don't realize, man, it's like to have something like that. It doesn't even necessarily have to be animals. It can be anything. If you have something that is that much of a part of you, and like you're literally your DNA and like ingrained in the fiber of your being, like that is something that you need to recognize just how important and how special that is, because there's so many people in this world that do not have a thing. They don't have.
You're right. I feel like we're lucky, we're blessed to have this stuff, because I feel like a lot of people are just spend their whole life searching for not only maybe that's that someone, but for that something. You know what I mean? That like makes you who you are, makes you tick, like is ingrained in you, and like I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard to explain. People are like, well, why? I don't get it. Why do you love animals so much? I'm like, I get the point where I'm like, I just do. Animals rule. Like, I like animals more than I like people most of the time, And
it was the same thing for me as a kid. I've never done drugs. I'm not a big drinker. I never really was. Like, I had a phase, but it was very brief. And it's just like, never had interest in hanging out with people and stuff in school. Like, it was always like, I just wanted to do my thing, and that was it. I didn't care about anything else. Didn't care about parties. Didn't care about popularity. Didn't care about like. And granted, I think a lot of that was just being a military kid and sort of learning to be fairly independent and self-sustaining, anyways. But it was just I didn't care about anything else except my stuff, like my animals, what I had, the interest in the whole thing. Like none of that other stuff outside of that that mattered, you know, and that's carried on ever since. It's been my life, you know.
Yeah, it's when you get the bug, man, when you really truly get because like people don't get it nowadays because it's like you see a lot of these people, ball python people, things like that. Not all ball python people. I'm not trying to start a war, but like you go to these shows and these people are like here today, gone tomorrow. They see dollar signs. Like to me, I don't care if there's no money in it. I never cared. Like I was a huge skateboarder back in the day when people would drive by and throw beer cans at you. You know what I mean? They yell "skater die!"
Full
like,
beer cans, not even empty.
Right, exactly.
Unopened.
And you're damn right. I got, you know, freshmen, you know, they jumped out of the car, they shot me with salt guns, egged us, you know what I mean? I always just went against the grain, did what I wanted to do, didn't care if it was popular, I just did what kind of like your internal body is telling you. You know what I mean? You have a draw to something, you just go with it. It's weird, even like this day, like the other day, true animal people, I feel like you just have this sense. Like the other day, I'm like, I'm like, you know what? I get a bunch of those red Ackies, and I'm like, they didn't hatch out yet. And all of a sudden, like my gut, my mind's like, check the incubator. I go over to the incubator, they're all out. Like it's just like it's so weird. I find that so weird all the time with stuff. Like I'm like, oh, I haven't checked the leech thing in a while. I'm like, I gotta check it, and I'll leave my facility, lock the doors, have to go in, punch the code, go through 6 different doors to get in. I go in, there's like all these leechies hatched out. It's just weird, man. But like true animal people, you get this, have this feeling, you get this thing. It's undeniable, and you're just like, you know, and it's like I don't care if someone came to me and was like, you know, oh, that's not worth anything anymore. I'm like, I don't care. Like I have crested geckos now. My buddy's like, dude, $4. I'm like, I don't care. I got some that I'll pick up and just stare at because they're just so beautiful. Like, you know, I have like certain things, like if I like it, I just get them, and I don't really care about, you know, I don't have like morph market. I wholesale stuff to people most of the time, or I just hang on to it, and you know, but I just to stare, I just love it. You know, I just stare at it. I get stuff I really like, and you know, it's hard. It's hard because when you got a passion and stuff pulling in and drawing in, you got to go with it.
Yeah. I find myself going back to like the whole, like you're at a wedding type thing or in a social setting.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, I don't want to do like what you're saying. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but somebody says, oh yeah, Phil's got a snake. Phil's got a ton of snakes, you know? And then people are like, you have a lot of snakes? How many snakes do you have? And I usually answer, I'm like, I got a couple of them, you know, I got a couple pets.
I know where I'm at too.
And it's like, I almost feel bad, but I'm not gonna be like, I have 27 different species. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Like,
let me tell you, because then you're like the guy that shows up at the carnival with the Burmese python around your neck. Like I don't like I don't like any of that stuff. Like that's just not me. I try to like back up a little bit, and then like I don't even come out there and be like, well, I do this. I hate that. Like I step back from all that, and I try to like kind of sugarcoat. They're like you friend him, and they're like, what, honey? They're like, yeah, he said you were at so and so's house and you had a kangaroo. You have kangaroos? And it's just like, oh, dude, seriously, like I don't even just leave it as I have some snakes and let's move on, you know. But then people are like, well, what do you do with them? You know, oh my god, and they just like they want to keep going. And then in your mind, you're like, dude, like you try to ask people like, well, what do you do for a living? And he's like, I'm a doctor. Who cares? What do you like? Where does one get a kangaroo? Where does one buy a snake? You know, they do stuff like that. And you're like, so you feel like a dipshit because you're just like, okay, so
there's no way of explaining it that kind of makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that it's also difficult to, how do I phrase this? And I don't want to sound like a smug asshole. I don't want to sound like that. But like, obviously we have big collections. We've been doing this a long time, and we're still fascinated by corn snakes. We still love leopard geckos. Like I'm not going on that tangent, whatever. But there are oftentimes people that are, how do I phrase this? There's no easy way for me to like fucking say this, but like, they're like, oh man, I got a ball python. And like, they only have that one pet snake. And like, they're like, what do you have? And I almost don't want to say I have X, Y, and Z because like, I don't want to say there's a disconnect, but
there's a gap there.
There's a gap. Yeah. And like, I don't want to be that person. And like, I know it sounds smug. It sounds horrible. You know what I mean? But like, I don't want to. I want to continue the conversation. I want to hear about their ball python. I want to hear the passion that they have about their one pet snake or their two pets that they have. Like that's awesome. And then, but I also find out people are like they dig and they dig and they dig, and finally, like you start to talk more, and like they're like, oh my god, he has all of this. What the fuck? You know, and like I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk like that. I mean, is that weird?
Yeah.
No.
Am I alone in that?
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Because then it stems into like, well, where do you keep them, and how big is their enclosure?
Yeah.
And do they ever go outside? My python goes outside every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we hang them from the bird playground set. You know, it turns this whole thing where they're like, your snakes don't go outside, and yeah, you're right on. It turns into this whole thing where you're like, you start going down the rabbit hole of like, I much rather talk about your ball python and you know, like the one lady was like talking to me. She's like, well, what all those snakes? What do you do for enrichment for all those? I have one snake. She plays with this ball with a bell in it. I'm just like, oh no, here we go. You know.
Yeah.
So I just like, I know what you're saying though. It's like you're not trying to be a dick, but you're just kind of like, all right, yeah.
That's when I
cool.
take that moment to convert them to the Church of Rhino Rat Snake.
Nice.
Oh, dude,
you got a ball
get
python. You're gonna love these then. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get those again so bad. I had a pair. I bred them. I went through the whole feeding on rosy reds, scenting pinkies, let them eat the rosy red, then throw the little live pinky in there and hope they grab it and like sit there and then they grab it and don't move and you just stare at it. Like I saw that meme that came out lately on Instagram, like what my snakes see when I'm feeding them, and you're like,
yeah,
like that's me with the damn rosy red, the rat snakes. But yeah, I had those rhino rats, and I had a male. Well, I had a female and male pair, and then I had a female at a display, and we were packing up like a mini display we do, and someone stole her from the display, took her at an event at a park, and I'm like, dude, you don't even know what you got. You don't know how to take care of it. Yeah. Oh, I was pissed. And then my male,
I'll do it.
He lived another 10 or 15 years. I had that snake 20 something years, and he just passed recently. And then I was like, start looking online a little bit here and there, and I saw a couple that at the Hamburg show. I think Owen,
yeah, probably
buddy yours, I think he had them there, and I said something to him like, hey dude, your voice seems familiar, and he's like, I get that a lot, you know. And then he started talking to somebody else, and I'm looking at the rhino rats, and like, man, they're just so little though, like that paper, like kids paintbrush thin, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. You know, maybe I'll just hang in there, wait for something that got a little bit of size on them again before I get the, you know, I call them fishing lures when they're that small, you know.
Yeah.
But I love those snakes, man. God, I love those snakes.
So damn good at getting out of stuff at any size.
Yeah.
And I tell people when they buy them from me, like, damn near put them under lock and key, because if you even think that if there's an inkling in your mind of like they might be able to get out of that, they probably can. So go ahead and just like lock it down, because
I sold 2 of them to a friend of mine years ago. And he had, like, remember when the Exoterras came out, the little Exoterra thing? He bought that, designed it when people were just starting to do the, you know, not bioactive, but setting things up like real, you know, the damn slider thing on the back where they have holes for the cords to go in? Gone. He lost them. He's like, I don't know where they went. I'm like, you know what? They went right out of that hole. I told you, you know, I'm like, you had to plug it up. I would do rolled up paper towel and electric tape around there just to keep all those snakes in there, you know, little. But yeah, man, those things I never forget that they'd get out of anything. Or like I'd have them in Rubbermaids, and the air holes would be just a little bit too big, and you'd walk in the reptile room, in the corner of your eye, you're like, was that a snake? And in the rack, there's a rhino rat. Oh, there's another rhino rat. Oh, there's another. And I'm like, son of a bitch, you know, because they're waiting for them to shed, so you took them from the incubator into the wet paper towel in the rack, you know. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. And I'm like, okay, how many were there? I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh my, and they would just pop up random places. I'd go to grab like a snake hook, go to grab my probe kit, and then this little thing would like go over my finger, and you almost drop it because you're like, oh my God. But yeah, man, that was cool. I only bred them once, hatched them once, and then, you know, somebody decided they needed the female.
With that older male that you were just mentioning, did he get progressively like darker? Like, did he get a lot of like blacker sort of melanism looking to him as he got older?
Yep. He went from beautiful green and teals and stuff, and as he got old, it's funny you said that because my wife at the time, I had him at like this big children's museum display because all the kids are like, "What? A rhino rat's in the." It was best for kids. Kids love that, you know.
Dude,
and you like, look at this, wong wong wong, and the nose would just bend. They're like, "What?" And even the adults and kids would be like, "It moves," you know. And then you like playing it. And I remember when I said, she goes, "Is he going into a shed?" You know, she knows enough about animals just from me talking, but I go, "No." She goes, "He got really dark. He's not as pretty as he used to be. He's probably 18 years old or something at the time." And yeah, he got a lot darker. And it's funny you said that because I always wanted to ask people that, you know, because they always seem so beautiful and green, but mine got a lot of black to him. The teal disappeared, and it just he just started to look like an older snake, you know.
Yeah, I'm curious because there was pictures floating around of a you know, one over in Europe that had a lot of black and stuff to it, and you know, people are like, "Oh my God, it's a new line, it's new morph," you know. And I mean, maybe it will be, but I'm other than that, I'm like, that snake's just old. It's an old snake, you know. Like, if it were something truly genetic, like it'd be reproducible, and we'd see it probably.
Well, that's the thing too. Everybody wants to make a morph out of everything. Like I used to breed the hell out of blue tongue skinks back in the day, and I'd sell them to Ben Siegel reptiles, $55 a piece, you know. And I cranked out like these, and I'd hold some back like the white outline or whatever they start calling them, and the sunsets and the orange. To me, they were just nice northerns, but everybody's like, "Oh no, they're this line." Everyone's got to have a name for everything and put something on this, and that drives me crazy. I'm just like, no, it's a real nice northern is what it is. But people are like, "Oh no, it's the chocolate white outline and the sun dipped, you know, Fruit Loop or whatever." I just can't. It drives me nuts, dude. It drives me. I'm like, dude, I bred them years ago when I couldn't give the damn things away. Then they got hot. I still had a couple because I liked them, but I wasn't breeding them. But everybody's like, "Oh no, this is the whatever line." Everyone just looks for something to put a name on it, a morph on it, and that drives me crazy too. Because I'm like, no, it's just a real nice rhino rat or a real old rhino rat or a real nice blue tongue. You know, now they're worse. Don't get me wrong, but that's people my little pet peeve.
To tack something onto it before it's proven and actually like a known thing, you know. I've seen that. We've seen that in corn snakes really recently. People put some sort of weird new tag on something, and it's like that is literally a caramel. It just looks a little different. Like there's nothing else going on.
That's exactly what it is.
Build upon it, and then it'll be a thing, you know.
Well, I think that's pretty wild that you used to sell to Ben, because his shop was literally down the street from me, and I guarantee you I've seen your animals in the shop.
Yeah, like it was funny because then I became pretty good friends with Ben, and we would talk on the phone. And he was like, he'd call me up and he's like, "Do you want a baby crocodile monitor?" I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "This is what I paid shipping on it. I'll ship them out to you." I'm like, "What?" Like, wait, what? He was just a good dude, you know. And then he flew me out to NRABC for that whole Burmese python initiative that he was pushing. So I went there to like promote that and hand out the stickers and all that kind of stuff. And that was my first like Tinley type thing, you know. But it was man, he was supposed to make it out, but he didn't make it out for something happened or whatever. He couldn't make it out at the time. But it was cool. But yeah, that's one of those. I got the old T-shirts, stickers on my fridge at my facility, like the chameleon skull, you know, Ben Siegel reptile. Like it's badass, dude. He had an awesome place, awesome shop.
He used to have the pterodactyl on the ceiling.
Awesome animals. Yeah. You read my mind. I was just picturing that thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I was at the store too before he even knew like that we did business and stuff. I was going through there and I picked up something. I was going through Florida. I picked up some kind of animal, some mammal or something, and I flew in, picked it up, and was driving home. And I'm like, it's in like a strip mall. And I'm like, Ben Siegel rep. I'm like, what? And I went, I'm like, no way, this is crazy. So I walked through there, but again, it goes back to like, I'm not the, hey, do you know who I am? I want to talk. I'm just walking. I didn't see him. So I just kind of walked around and checked it out, and I'm like, if I did a reptile shop, this would be the way I did it. Like, just so
Did you
cool.
eat it? Did you eat at Muddy Waters next door?
I did not.
Do you remember Muddy Waters? It's still there. It's like a pirate themed restaurant bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at the time it was we didn't have Chick-fil-A up here. So I think I was like, holy cow, Chick-fil-A. I've reached heaven, like, oh my God. And then I ate it and I'm like, it's good, but it's not everything that it cracked up to be, like it wasn't people went crazy for it. I'm like, it was good, but so it was just funny. It was funny at the time, but the guy that was with me he's like, we need to go to, and we still make a joke about that. He's like, remember Muddy Waters? He's like, we should have went there. You don't want to eat there. I'm like, dude, listen, I had like 22-hour drive home that I had to drive straight home, and I didn't want muddy pants, okay? Because I didn't know what I was going to be eating. I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? One of those, like...
It's good. It's just been there forever.
Right.
Got to be wary of the Florida strip mall restaurant,
dude. It had like the actual statues of pirates outside. Hilarious.
Yes,
it's still there.
Awesome, dude.
Is it the one in Deerfield?
Yeah, it's the one in Deerfield.
Yeah, Deerfield Beach.
I don't remember that. I got my first Amazon from that store, and I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's right next door, man.
It was crazy.
There's a post office there.
Wasn't really paying attention.
Then right next to that was a liquor store.
Yes.
Most of the Florida strip malls now.
Yep, that's it. That's home, baby.
And a random bagel shop. And it was crazy because I'm from Buffalo, right? Like home of the chicken wing. Yeah. I just did a thing down there to promote online Experience Kissimmee, like this thing they were doing where people came down there and they brought me to like this like monster truck bus animal thing. And then we went to Animal Kingdom. We went to the Wild Florida, which is awesome. Shouts out to the Wild Florida. Those dudes are sweet. That was a good time. And that was fun. And they brought me to a chicken wing place down there in Orlando. And they were like, how is this compared to? And I'm like, it's the first place I've ever eaten that had damn good chicken wings. None of this buffalo wing bullshit. Chicken wings. And they had real blue cheese. None of this ranch shit. And man, I felt like I was at home. It was awesome. It was cool. And it was funny because then we got back in the what do they call those things? Transit vans, and off to the next shoot. But I'm like, man, I said to the driver, I'm like, there's a lot of strip plazas here with pawn shops and liquor stores. He goes, yeah, you didn't think it'd be next door to a wing shop? I'm like, no, this is pretty awesome. So yeah, it was funny. That was my experience with, because normally you go to Florida, it was like, the family and the kids, you go to Orlando, you do Disney, you don't really leave the cult of Disney area, But
does that mean boneless wings are like a burning cross up there for you?
No, it's funny. No, it's actually okay. Like, you can do boneless wings. It's all right. Boneless wings are okay. Chicken fingers, chicken tendies, they're okay. That's all right. Nice. But none of this ranch shit, man. None of this ranch shit. Okay, some good blue cheese. That's what you need. And it's not even like, awesome. See, I understand where people get with it. They start talking about the blue cheese. They're like, oh God, it's terrible. Yeah, because it's not buffalo blue cheese. Like, people can put it on a label, buffalo blue cheese. And like, because some of the blue cheese I would ask for in a restaurant, people look at you like you got 6 heads. And I'm like, this is terrible. Now I know why people do ranch anywhere outside of Buffalo, because up here they make it, fresh. Like, shouts out to Duff's Wings, Bar Bill, like that stuff's homemade blue cheese. Oh, I'm getting hungry now thinking about it.
I won't lie, so am I, bro. Legit. It's awesome.
Telling you, if you're ever up this way, you're ever up in Buffalo, I'll take you for some good wings.
Hell yeah, that's fucking great. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So, what are you all keeping now? Like, obviously you have a menagerie of things, but is there like anything specifically, like, you don't have to go through the whole gauntlet of all your critters, but is there anything you're really focusing on, or a lot of things that you're looking to progress with projects and whatnot?
It's funny because reptile wise, like it's funny because like you guys can like even like to me like a nice reverse Okatee corn snake. I'm like, God, that thing's gorgeous. Like I'll just stare at it, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's stuff like that. I like everything. You know, I got I'm working with some green tree monitors that I'm hopefully gonna get some eggs out of. They're getting up to size now. I got a female shingleback. It was sold to me as a male, but it's a definite female. I've had her like 11 years. Perfect, flawless. None of this like skinny tail weird. Like this is came from Jim Plether stock out of the Canary Islands, um, and all the paperwork with it and stuff. And that was like my, you know, my holy grail.
Yeah.
And I would love to get a male for that. Casey Lazick a couple of years ago, and then all the COVID crap happened, and everybody pretty much lost almost everything. But I was talking to him back then. He's like, "Yeah, I should be getting some babies," and I was going to try and get a male or work out a breeding loan with him or something. He'd have some unrelated bloodline stuff. But I love those. What else I got? I got some rhino iguanas that I'm getting up to size. Hopefully going to breed those. I just love rhinos. Never hatched one. I think that would be the coolest moment ever because it would be like I would hear the Jurassic Park theme in my head as these things are popping out of the egg with the horns and like, oh, dude, just like love it, love it, love it. What
I need
else?
you to get a full white leisure suit. Just a white leisure suit with a straw hat and just sit there with the gloves on. Yeah.
Done
It's gotta
deal.
be a photo.
If this happens and I hatch them out, that'll be on Instagram, you know, and the music will play behind it, you know. And yeah, it's just I love it all, man. It's like what else do I got? The monkey tails. I should have baby monkey tails. Usually around Halloween time every year we get the monkey tail skinks. Big fan. I've been breeding them for years. I do a lot of lychees and chihuahuas, and because I just like them, and I'll take a beautiful chihuahua that looks like living moss and just stare at it, you know.
I love how like blase blah he is. He's like, I lychees, a couple chewies, you know.
That old
I've been doing it a long time, man. I've been doing I've been doing it a long time, man. And I just hang on to stuff and breed them and hold stuff back. And you know, I bred Wolmas and ankles and what else? Blackheads, spotteds, Stimsons, what else? Brettles. Yeah, like I love the pythons. Like all it doesn't matter. Indonesian Maclots. That was like a big thing for me, man. I had Maclots, and I talked to Tracy Barker back in the day. I bred them and hatched them in a freaking Hova baiter. Okay. And like I talked to her, she's like, "You're gonna take a razor blade. You're gonna hold a light up to it," because she was friends with a reptile keeper from a zoo up here because she used to work at the Buffalo Zoo. So my friend Larry was like, "Give her a call. She'll help you out." And she didn't know me from Adam, and she told me how to do. I was like forever thankful. I'm like, I met her at like one of those back in the day NRABC like breeder conferences that they had before they were like NRABC, where there was like Bill Brandt and you know Guana Ranch and all that. It was in Reptiles magazine. You're like, oh, you're gonna go see your heroes, you know. And I went with a friend of mine, and she was there, and I couldn't thank her enough. And she said, "Oh, my pleasure." She was the sweetest, and she hatched them and helped me hatch them. And she's like, "You're gonna take a razor blade, you know, because the one popped out, and all the other ones, it was like 2 days and nothing else hatched out." And she's like, "You got to get them out of there. They're gonna die in the egg." So she's telling me how to do it. I'm holding a light and I'm slicing things with razor blades, and it was way before, but it just made the love for pythons go even more. So it was funny because I heard you say about the water pythons, and a friend of mine had babies, and I'm like, I might get a pair of those. He's like, they suck. They bite the shit out of you. I'm like, I don't care. I just want them, man. You know, and yeah, you know, the Wolmas I bred year after year, and I just never listened to the noise. All the people are like, oh, you can't breed them. You can't do it. They're really hard. Well, I don't listen to that. I just do what I got to do. Figure out the recipe and do things the way I do it. And I think in a way I'm in Buffalo, New York area, so I think my room at my facility and stuff generally cools down with we get the 4 seasons up here, you know, and sometimes to the extreme. So I think that helps a lot because I don't ever have to do like super drastic like cool downs, you know. But I'm as simple as like I'll hatch out albino ball python. And I'm like, to me, I'm as giddy as I was when I first got them, you know, and I'm like, God, they're just gorgeous. I remember looking the Bob Clark ad in Reptiles and just like, oh my God, an albino pine ball, like losing your mind, you know? And then, yeah, and then as time went on, New York got weird, changed a lot of laws and stuff. So I had to get all my dangerous animal permits so I could keep my berms and my retics. So I got like caramel, the GC caramel berms. Like, dude, I'll just stare at that thing. I just, oh, unbelievable. And then I got the purple retics and the big tiger retics, and I just I got the leucistic berm without the, you know, the ivory berm. Sorry, without the big googly eyes, because we had one forever that looked like a kid's craft project, and people are like, "What's wrong with its eyes?" It's like, you know, people, yeah, it's just like, oh, dude, like they're like, what did you do to it to make it that way? I'm like, nothing. This is the way. Well, maybe people shouldn't breed them if they're. So I'm like, oh God. So when he passed on, I was like, I'm gonna, you know, it so happened that like, I take a lot of stuff into for like DEC confiscations and stuff. They'll call me when they get gators or venomous stuff or whatever, and they're like, we got this big white snake, you know, we think it's a retic. We'll send you a picture. I'm like, dude, that's a berm. And I'm like, no, this is how I'm gonna get a nice ivory berm from a confiscation from someone. Yet all the people and the breeders I'm dealing with, they're like, their eyes will get better, and they're just like, in different direction. Yeah, it's like, so with me, when I'm in the public, I try to have stuff as perfect as possible. You know, I don't want to bring stuff out that, you know, is messed up. But lately, I really got into palmetto corns. I got a nice pair of palmettos. I freaking love them. Love the name, by the way, Smitty. But yeah, I just love them, man. They're just, I got hypo Honduran milk snakes, and I was like a little kid. I was like, holy shit, at the Hamburg show. And a couple guys I know were like, what are you buying that shit for? I'm like, dude, look at this thing.
Yeah,
look at this thing. Are you kidding me? It looks like, and I tell everyone, I go, it looks like my wife did wash and I left it in my cargo pants. You know what I mean? It came out, it lost some color, like an old freaking Journey t-shirt, you know? But
that's awesome.
And it's like just little
it's
things
weird
like
that you have to have a
you know?
reason, like it, because it's something that's common, like therefore,
Yeah.
even if it's pretty, it's still just not sexy enough. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
well, that's the thing with me. Like, people will be like, dude, you have Nile crocodiles. Why do you want a hypo milk? I'm like, dude, because I'm obsessed. I love it all. You know, I have
open your eyes,
knobtail
look at
geckos.
it.
Yeah, I got some knobtail geckos from my buddy Tom Wood. I'm blessed. He's a friend of mine. He's an hour away. We go eat some food, pick up some knobtails from him.
And
yeah,
dude,
it's
Tom's
great.
stuff is just incredible, man.
What species?
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
I have I have the Levis. I got a 2.4 that I should maybe get up to breed. But see, then again, I'm not like, I'm gonna feed the hell out of it so I can breed it. I like grow it slow, get it nice and healthy. Found the trick to those guys too. Like when the tails start to get a little thin, I drop in a superworm that's like white, you know, that just molted. Boom, pop their tail nice and fat again. You know, sometimes it's weird. I'm still learning with the knobtails, but sometimes they'll look great, and all of a sudden their tail starts to get a little thin. And you're like, dude, what's going on? You know, and you just get a little. I found that. I'm not a big fan of the dubias, but like you get dubia roaches in them, that puts great weight on them too. Because I get so caught up on doing the crickets, and you do the crickets, and I'm like, they just don't look as good eating the crickets, unfortunately. But the super worms that just shed, I feel like you drop that in there, the next day, boom, the tail's nice and fat. And then I went through the stage with the knobtails, because that's the newest thing I started with, last couple of years. And Tames, I'd say to Tom, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I missed them. And the whole thing, he goes, are you misting the gecko, or are you misting the entire enclosure? And I'm like, I never thought about that. And he goes, yeah. You know, and then we have this little thing. We go, yeah, and he goes, yeah. We're back and forth. I'm like, yeah, and I go back and I open the little, the little plant thing, and mist under there, mist on the top. He'll come out, mist him on top of that. That's it. Where before I'm misting the whole thing, I'm like, oh, it's like morning dew, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna kill these things. So like, I just try to figure things out. But so I'll be excited to hatch some of those out, because they're just the cutest things ever. And I have Amy, but of course I bought 4 baby amii, and I got 4 males.
Oh.
So I ended up moving 2 of those, and then I bought 2 more, and from a different guy, friend of a friend, and raised them up. I got 2 more males.
Oh, jeez.
So and I had the 2 male amii, and I'm like, maybe I'll get some more amii down the line, and go from there. You know, maybe I'll move these males out and just get a small group, because I'm afraid by the time I do get females raised up, these guys are going to be old men. You know.
Yeah.
But
That's great though, man. Like I said, dude, Tom's got some awesome stuff. And if you're gonna learn about knobtails from anybody, he's the guy to learn from, you know?
Oh yeah, we'll go freaking you know, as I got older, I drink a glass of wine or have a beer here and there, you know, like I broke the edge, I guess you could say. But I'll go have a beer with him up here in Rochester. When he comes to Buffalo, I turned him on to a nice little taco joint, and we sit there and just laugh for a while and then shoot the breeze about, you know, geckos and stuff. And he was buying we were doing a lot of trades for like lychees and babies I had at the time. You know, he had people, he wanted them, and then he had people that wanted them and stuff. So it was sending them over to Korea, I think. But yeah, it was cool. So we do a lot of business here and there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool.
What are you doing as far as venomous stuff goes?
I don't know if they saw, I had a shirt on one of my Instagram stories, and my wife thought it was funny as hell, and it just said "powered by rattlesnakes." Because I got it off Amazon, I think, but I'm just obsessed with rattlesnakes. Obsessed with rattlesnakes. Obsessed. Like, to the point where I go to bed at night and I'm laying in bed, and in my mind I'm thinking how I'm going to design the enclosure for them the next day. Like, I have a problem. I need to talk to someone. Even if I talk to a shrink, I think they would be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, who's
He's just
thinking of rattlesnakes?
laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing the
yeah, dude. I wish they're in my facility, and I have kids at home, my wife at home. So the only animals in my house are a nice 75-gallon planted terrarium of dart frogs, and my kids and my dogs. Pardon?
Which species?
The giant, oh my god, brain fart now. I got the mint. I'm gonna be hated.
Okay.
I have the mint, and I have the Terribilis. Thank you. I have the mint, and I have the yellows together. So I'm not trying to breed them, but I know that's a big, like, people probably want to crucify me for that. But
they'll get over it.
Yeah. So we had that. I don't do all the different species or whatever, but then I go to Clyde Peeling's Reptile Land, and he's got 4,000 different dart frogs in there. So, you know, if people are going to say something to me, I took a picture and put it up there. I built it when I was sick, and then people are crucifying me on Facebook and Instagram that I had, you know, 2 different types of dart frogs together. And I'm like, so I have them, but that's therapy for me, because I'll just cut the vines out and stuff and fix it all up. It's pretty sick. And then, so I have a separate facility for everything. But in New York, it was funny when I renewed my permits, and I added like Arizona blacktails, the Enyo, the Bajas. I added like 5 different species. The guy at DEC is like, "What? Wait a minute. Why are you adding so many rattlesnakes? Like, what do you need?" And I'm like, because I have a trailer that is a display trailer, like a museum on wheels. And I'm going to start taking it to like different sportsman shows to show people this. But it's like, it looks like you took a chunk of Florida and put it in a 6x2x2 with, I have like the deer antler in there, and Spanish moss and ferns everywhere, and pine needles, Eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Above them, I have the big wagon wheel, cactuses, a big cow skull in there, and I have my albino westerns in there. So it's like, we do one big fair up here, and people come in there, they're like, "Oh, I don't like snakes." And the guy, Luke, good friend of mine that works for me, he's like, "You got to go in there. It's like, where's Waldo of snakes? Like, you got to find the snakes. They don't stand out." You know, I just one exhibit, there's like all this crazy stuff in there, and I have my eyelash up. I have a beautiful, pure Christmas tree eyelash that you don't see anymore.
Oh,
the big yellow dots, the big red dots, and the green. You know, big, beautiful female that I grew very slow. You know, I have some black perps. I have gaboons. I have
Hell yeah.
sidewinders. I have what else? Popes, white lips, I should say, the white lips vipers. What else, man?
Where'd you get the perps from?
It goes on. A guy up here that Pennsylvania that breeds them.
Okay.
And I got permits for them, and I couldn't find them, but I wanted black perps forever, and these are pure black. So we got those. What else? Bush vipers, pygmies. What else? The gaboons, Arizona blacks, easterns, westerns. My God, I'm in brain farts now. Some of the Mexican bacillus, bacillus. I'm bad with Latin names.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, a little bit of everything. Some.
Did you get the Enyo?
Panamints. You know what? There's a guy that I was talking to on Facebook, but he didn't get them feeding yet. But I'm definitely trying to get those. And I talked to Cody on the phone from Rattlesnake Ranch. And last year it didn't work out because it was too hot to ship. And when he could ship, I got caught up with 4,000 things going on here. And I was out of town doing a Nature Fest in Houston. Then I was doing a thing here and a thing there. And I didn't think it'd be right to say, hey, to my wife, hey, can you go pick up some venomous snakes at the airport and bring them home and let them sit in the living room in deli cups? You know, like it's not.
Yeah.
So it just didn't work out, unfortunately. So I reached out to him again this year, and I'm like, let me know. There's a couple of things I'm looking for. Let me know what you have available. You know, that I got my permits added for, and, you know, stuff like that. But I've been doing venomous since I was 16, I think it was 16 years old.
Awesome.
Some pygmies and them white lips. And yeah, man, I love it. I love them. And it's, you know, that's in my blood too. But like rattlesnakes are there's something about them, dude. I just stare at them. I have a prairie that I've had for, I mean, most of my stuff I've had 10, 12 years, like,
yeah,
if not longer, some of them, but like I have a pair of prairies and a Mojave, and dude, I just stare at them. I just honestly stare at them. They're cool, man. You know, so
awesome.
I'm lucky to be permitted to have them, and you know, and be able to do what I love. But yeah, it's my hands in a little bit of everything. Like I just love it all. You know,
it's cool, man. Any rock rattlers in the future?
You know what's so funny is I got 2 rock rattlesnakes from a show. Had them in my quarantine room, because that's another thing with me. I got a whole 10 by 10 separate room, weather airtight, sealed door. Like I don't fuck around. And I got 2 rock rattlesnakes added to my permit. So I went to pick them up and got them at the show, had them home in quarantine for about a week, and then their heads would lay flat and their tail would still rattle. But like a guy told me a certain paramyxovirus, maybe.
Yeah, paramyxo.
Some crazy thing. And they both passed. And within like 4 days, I had nothing else in the quarantine room, but I sprayed everything down with F10. The rack went outside and got burned. An old melamine rack that I use just for quarantine stuff with the tubs and everything. I didn't even care. I'm like, I don't want this anywhere near anything, because I usually, you know, I don't get new stuff. I don't buy new stuff. I don't usually.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, man. I'm afraid to bring anything into my collection. I've had some of these animals I've had for years upon years upon years, you know, and I'm just hearing from people now, like recently, just through friends of friends, that people are losing whole collections of hot stuff because of something going around. And I'm like, dude, I don't want. Yeah, and it's not good. And I know like Cody breeds this stuff, and he's got, you know, a lot of stuff there, and that's what I'll stick with. I'll find, you know, one person or someone that's got a lot of stuff that's not big on buying stuff and flipping it, or get stuff at shows and stuff, and
smart, man.
Kind of go that route. Yeah, I'm scared, you know.
I don't blame you, man. I'm afraid to even like sell or give stuff to friends sometimes, because like I don't know, something looks a little dodgy. Like, I mean, I know there's nothing wrong with it, but like, it's still in the back of your mind. Like, I don't want to be that guy, you know?
Yeah.
Shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's just so much like weird stuff out there now, you know, that it's like I never heard about years ago, but more and more now you keep hearing about stuff like my python collections, you know, my womas, and I've had 20 years. So like I don't want to go and like, oh, get new blood, bring a new woma in. I have 2 pairs. I'll flip flop them and do that before I'll go and just grab a woma and throw it in and hope that it, you know. I listened to a podcast that Ben Russo was on where he was talking about like you bring different things in from wherever. It's like you're just adding like to a shit stew of God knows what, you know. And he's had stuff for years. He never, you know, and I get it because being who we are and what we're into, we're obsessed. So it's like you got to get this or you got to get that. But shit gets quarantined. I keep stuff in quarantine in tubs, paper towels, clean water bowl, and they'll be in quarantine for a year, sometimes even longer. I had some snakes the other day. They were like, I had a couple spotted pythons. They're in quarantine 14 months. They got fed, watered, and everything. But I'm like, when I do move them, I can't stop thinking about the whole night. I'm in the shower at night going, I wonder if those spotted pythons have anything. It's crazy, but when you have a collection, man, you're like, God, you just don't want to mess with it, you know?
Yeah. Don't blame you, man. Don't blame me at all. It's tough for me, man. I got to be very, very selective with what I bring home because I'm not allowed to have. Let me rephrase that. I'm allowed to have a quarantine room, but it has to be inspected and escape proof, and I don't have the ability to do that. So I basically have one shelf unit that is on the other side of the room, and I have a whole separate set of everything, you know, tools, whatever. And I cross my fingers because I don't have that venue, you know, for venomous stuff. I mean, for venomous stuff.
Right. Yeah. I just, with everything, I got into doing like the rubbing alcohol spray, you know, spray everything down with the hooks. And then when I go to a show, I'll buy like 6 more hooks and I'll keep those hooks here, these hooks here, and those hooks there. And I had a friend lose $250,000, $300,000 in ball pythons to Nido.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, I had nightmares for weeks over it. I was just like, holy cow. And in my mind, I'm like, he hasn't been in my place in years, but I'm like, did I get anything from him? Did I put anything near it? Did I bust them all, dude? All start bubbling at the mouth and then they were bloated and dead. This one's dead. He sent me a video of just like ball python after ball python. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what I would do. I didn't even know what to say to him. I was just like, scary, you know? So just gotta be super careful.
Yeah. And the more I think about it, I really am like you in a lot of regard because like, I feel like the last venomous stuff I really got was, I mean, I got rock rattlers from Kyle Vargas, I trust him explicitly. And import stuff that I'm the one who opened the crate from the wild. So like, I'm not worried in that regard, you know, but it's scary, man. It is.
Like, and that's what I mean. I've had my gaboons forever. I've had, you know, all this stuff on my permits I've had forever. And then, you know, I was comfortable with it and I added some new stuff last year to the permit and, you know, rattlesnakes, of course, but, you know, I was very careful and I was like, you know, if I'm going to get them from anyone, I'm going to, you know, and if Cody doesn't have it, he knows somebody that just has their own, you know, private collection of stuff that's permitted legally to do it. And you know, he's like, I would put stuff from this guy in my collection. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know?
Yeah. That's good stuff, man.
I think it's good and important to have sort of that list of people that can be reliably vouched for and you know, you can trust that the stuff you're going to get from them is on the up and up and of little concern.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the case with a lot of the green tree python community as far as like when Nido was sort of the big talk of things was like this. To me, the simple solution is to either stop buying green trees or be very, very selective about who you're getting them from and don't buy, you know, one from everybody. You know?
Well, it's funny because I listened to a podcast also with with I think it was the fight podcast that Ron St. Pierre was on. And they were talking, and he kind of dropped some stuff saying that, like, he was at a conference, and they were saying now that hopefully they can not cure, but like take care of a collection of nido by getting the snakes up to like 95 degrees or something like that for like
some talk
a week.
And
you can bake the nido out of them. And when I heard Ron saying that, with someone else that was on the podcast talking to him too, and they were all talking about that, about baking the nut out of them. And people are like, well, who wants to keep a snake at 95 degrees for that long or whatever? But I'm like, if you can cure nido with that, it's way better than losing all that stuff, you know? That's the thing too. I had green trees forever. I had a green tree python in my living room in a built bioactive enclosure. You know, I know some people don't think that's good either for green trees, but the thing, I had him for 20 years in there. He was just an old man. And now I'm like, I was paranoid. I'm like paranoid to buy another green tree python because I'm like, I don't want my hands to touch it. I don't want, I call it, you got my hands and then it's in the air and it's in my car and then it goes in my facility and then I just get paranoid. So I'm like, so I'm just not going to get a green tree python. I'm like, I will, but I'm going to have to wait and get it from someone I really trust and, that kind of thing. And then I'll do it again,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if the nido's potentially going to be the end of the animal in particular, then 95 degrees for a week, it's like, yeah, you're rolling the dice, but it's worth a shot, even if it's if the snake, if the end result may end up being the same regardless, like, it's worth a shot, I would think.
Oh, my buddy did the shots, and then he did the F10 in a nebulizer, like of them in a little tub, and he went through all that. I'm like, dude, this is hell. I don't even know what I would do. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night with this. And he's like, oh, I just have 50 different tubs and 50 different Zoom Ed foggers, and we're fogging them with F10. I'm like, what? And then a lot of them seemed like they were worse after it than better. So it was, I don't know. So I think I agree with you.
I had a 12 or 13-year-old adult female gaboon viper, West African gaboon, like 5 foot, that came down with something, and the vet literally said, blast it with heat and we're going to give it Baytril injections. And I was strongly against it, and luckily I had my good friend Henry was with me, and he had some expertise in that field because he'd done a lot of medical stuff with dogs over the years, and we tubed it in a big ass PVC pipe and we were given it Baytril injections, and it still crashed and burned. And it was like, just who knows what it was, but I feel like if we had just done the heat, I feel like we would have been okay, because
Baytril's pretty gnarly, man.
Yeah, Baytril's gnarly shit, man. And I felt horrible doing it. I really felt horrible doing it. But when we had the heat on her, I mean, gaboons don't like heat like that. But I had like a 120 degree basking spot, and she would just sit there and just cook on her own.
Sure,
like,
it gives them some sort of relief because they can. I'm
sure
it helps them at least breathe a little bit. Kind of dries
them up.
Yeah. So I mean, she wound up passing away. But
animals know, man. You give them that heat, and they can get to it, and if they need it, they're gonna go for it. They're gonna heat themselves up. They're gonna do what they got to do. But I was always a big advocate for that. If I had something that started getting some bubbles or getting like old school actual respiratory, I'd put them in something and warm it up, and usually it was gone. Usually, I mean, the old Burmese pythons, they'd get something like that. They'd keep them, you bake them for like a week, and then they would hock up some loogie crap, and then next thing you know, they'd be fine. And like nothing ever happened, and they'd be fine for 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden they'd get like a weird respiratory thing again, and then now you come to find out they called that like the Burmese python disease or something from years ago. But I never had it real bad, and anytime they got anything like that, I baked it out of pretty much any of that stuff, any python.
Yeah. Wild stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've waited a little while because I know this is going to be a fun topic, but let's hear about some TV stuff. Let's hear about some media entertainment stuff. You got a hell of a rap sheet, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's and the funniest thing about it all, I did it on my own. No agent, no manager, no nothing. I would bring animals. Like I said, I was starting to be known for having good animals for these people that would come on TV and bring animals. So they'd call me and I'd bring the animals. And then, long story short, D. Snyder. I was doing a lot of local news, like Fox News in New York City, and Fox Morning Show and things. And D. Snyder from Twisted Sister lost his voice. So the girl booking Late Night with Jimmy Fallon was like, "Hey, we have an opening tomorrow. You got to be here at 11 in the morning." It was like 5:30 at night, July 23rd, 2009, I think it was, and to be exact. And
Nice.
they were like,
wasn't memorable or anything.
Like, yeah. No, not at all. They're like, "You have a list of animals? Can you give us a list of animals?" I'm like, "Sure." So I email them a list of animals. We get everything we needed and went there to do it. And we did that. And then we started going on Fallon like every 20 to 30 days. I think I did 49 appearances, like with Jimmy Fallon, then The Tonight Show.
Wow.
Then freaking COVID killed it. And the writers, strike ruined it even more and just kind of crushed it in the TV world. But they, we did 49 appearances with that. I did Steve Harvey. I did like a dozen appearances with Steve Harvey, Pickler and Ben Show, VH1's Big Morning Buzz, the Today Show, Good Morning America, iCarly. My kids were impressed. A little cameo in there. I did Eastbound and Down. I did a cameo on there. That was pretty fun because I went, if you see me on Fallon, it's like the over caffeinated, crazy animal guy. Like that was my stick, like I went out there, did my thing. Well, when they booked me for iCarly, wanted the same thing. I got carried out by a bouncer. I was telling Jimmy Fallon that, "Look at my penguin." He's like, "Oh, duck from the north. You got to go, Jeff." And like the security guard like carried me out. It was funny, but they when I did Eastbound and Down, they were like, "We want a very like calm and very no. This is like a zoo type, animal guy type."
Oh, was that in the last
last
season?
Yes. Yep. Kenny's cutting in.
With the
Kenny's
monkey?
cutting in. Yes. Yep.
Oh my God.
It was me, and I
I've
shoved his head in.
Not noticed.
I shoved his head with the anteater, and I'm like, "Take a whiff of him." I'm like, I go, a lot of people. If I was trying not to get that Jeff Animal Guy persona, like be very straight laced. I'm like, "Take a whiff of him." I'm like, doesn't he? A lot of he smells. I said, a lot of people say he smells like weed in an Italian restaurant. He's like, he kind of does, yeah, And I was just very like, and then Kenny, cutting in, and he's saying all kinds of stuff, and so it was like just trying to be very straight laced for that show. And
it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Like I've got
dude,
all
it was great.
DVD. I've seen them all about a million times, and
mine too. And to be asked to be on that, I thought someone was pranking me. I did they say like don't meet your heroes, but I did a Saturday Night Live. I used my Cobra, and we shot a Saturday Night Live skit called Bathroom Cobra with Vince Vaughn. And he's hands down one of the coolest fucking dudes I've ever met in my life. Like we hung out in the green room, we were hanging out bullshitting. My wife came, she's like, "Who's going? You're going on with who?" I'm like, "Vince Vaughn." She goes, "Oh, I'm coming." And we come walking in, and I got so funny. I'll tell you, it's a great story. I walk in, they shot it in a brownstone in New York City. And I walk in with my guy, Larry, my boy, Larry's carrying the Cobra inside a box. My other guy's got the Kuitha, the monocle, albino monocle. And is that how you say Kuitha? I'm so bad Latin.
Kuithia.
So bad. Thank you. I was close.
You were there.
And, so I had another guy, Larry, and a guy carrying in a box. And then I came in with like a shotgun case with all my tongs and that. Shout out to Midwest Tongs, my boy Dana. Hooked me up strong. I got all the tongs and everything. He's my dude. And I go up to order, and he takes care of me. He's a good dude. And I got them all in a shotgun case, and we're walking in. He's leaning back on a director chair, and we walk in, and he's like, "Oh, here they are." He's like, "How you doing? Good morning. How you doing?" He looks at me. He's like, "Whoa, look at you with the big case. How you doing?" My wife walks in behind me, and he goes, "And good morning to you." And I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. Like, like dirtball shit, right? Like really, dude. So then we go in the other room. Well, no, they banish us. Welcome to the TV world. They banish you to the basement, okay, until they need you for something. And then all of a sudden they call me upstairs. We go up there. Vince Vaughn, dude, just like he is in the movies, right? We show up there. I go up there. He goes, "All right, what are we doing? We getting down or what? We getting down?" I said, "I'm about to give you some street cred." Street cred? That's what I'm talking about, right? He goes, "Look at this guy. Who are you, the Cobra Kid?" I said, "I'm the Cobra Kid." Who walks in with a shotgun case? Did anyone even look in his case? Does he have a gun in there? What does he have in the case? And then just like he's in the movie, right? And I go like this, and I go boom, and I flip it open, and I go, "I don't fuck around, Double V." And he goes, "Did you just call me Double V?" I said, "I did." And he goes, "No, you're the Cobra Kid." And he goes, "We're about to get some street cred." I'm like, "It's about to go down, Double V. Me and you. I don't fuck around. And he goes, "Why do I feel like I'm looking in a mirror? I feel like I'm looking in a mirror." And it was awesome because I watched all the movies. You know, I met a lot of different celebrities, and there's not many that I would fanboy over. They're normal people, just want to see animals. You're cool with them. You hang out. They come in the dressing room. But it was one of those, like, you're like, "Come on, dude, please don't be a dick. Please don't be a dick." All these movies, wedding crap, just like he is in the movies. So then my wife's on set watching this with this Cobra. They went and bought a $5,000 piece of optical glass. $5,273.18. And they're like, "We can't get glass this early in the morning." They're like, "Take the Lorne Michaels card and hold it up in the window, and they'll get the glass cut for you." So this guy comes back with this glass. It was insane. So then Vince Vaughn's like, "Well, I want to hold the Cobra." I'm like, "No, dude, we can't. We can't do that." Like, I have the bite protocol book with me. I have the anti-venin with me. I have everything with me on this shoot, right? And we're not. He's like, "But I'd love to do." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not like, you know." So we're behind the glass. So anything from his head up is him. Head down, neck down is me. And we had like body doubled for him, and I did a bunch of stuff. And my wife's over there, and he's like, "You got to move." These people on set are like, "You got to move here, you got to move there." And he's like, "No, no, no, no." Vince Vaughn and me and him are both on set. He goes, "Nobody puts Cobra Kid's wife in the corner. Nobody puts Cobra Kid's wife in the corner." I'm like, "Dude, this guy is fucking great. He is great." So then Vince, he goes, "We're going to do this. We're doing this." And the guys are trying to call the shots, and he just took over. Like, he just like knew. He's like, "Dude, what do you think we got all fucking day? We got a Cobra here. We got a Cobra here. And we got a guy holding a Cobra." And he goes, "And let's not make him use his protocol, okay?" So I'm like, "Dude, he's the best." So we do this whole thing, and they're like, "All right, Vince, you can go back to the room." He goes back to the room. We walk down we're shooting this stuff. I go walking back up, with the snake and the boxes and everything. And I walk past the room, and the guy goes, "Oh, your wife's in there." I walk in, it's Vince Vaughn's like dressing room. She's on the couch laughing with him, and he goes, I walk in, he goes, "Hey, champ, you don't do bears?" And I go, "No," I said, "only bear trainers do bears because you really can't read them. I have, mountain lions and lynx and different animals." But he goes, "Oh, what kind of animal guy are you if you don't do bears?" Right? And he just starts like laughing, and he's like looking at his phone, and I'm like, I fucking love this dude. Like, I just, So then he's just talking smack and like goofing around. And it's funny because when I got there, the one guy goes, one of his people or someone goes, "Don't ask him for photos. Don't ask for a photo. Don't do this." And I don't normally really even care to do that, but I'm like, dude, it's been like photo or it didn't happen at this point, right? So how do I spin it? I go, "Hey," I walk in the room. I go, "Hey, dude." He goes, "What's up?" He goes, "Give it to me." I go, "Listen, I know that you're like feeling weird. You want to get a picture with the best Cobra handler, but you feel weird to ask. I'm here if you want to do the photo." And he goes, "I'm picking up what you're putting down, my guy. I'm picking up what you're putting down." He comes up, he takes a photo, and then my wife's on the couch looking at me like this, like, "I'm gonna kill you." Like, really? Like, yeah. So I look over and I go, "And one," he goes, "For the beautiful lady, of course. Bring it in, princess." So he takes a photo with her. Dude, after the set, he's like, "God bless you. Good luck with everything. Nothing but good fortune for you. It was a blessing working with you. You guys were great. I love the stories." Just such a good dude, man. It was one of those, like, that'll stick in my mind forever, because you know you're on set 8 hours with him or whatever, but you're just BSing in a room, and he's just like such a good dude. So that was super fun, you know, and it was a good time. And then like Josh Brolin, that was super fun. Like he comes over and knocks on my dressing room door, and he's like, "Hey, you have animals in here?" I'm like, "Hey, you're Josh Brolin, right?" He goes, "Are you Jeff the animal guy?" I said, "I am." He goes, "Last time when you found that animal, you walked out during the middle of Jimmy's set, you pulled an animal out. We already had it planted in a garbage can." And a big not garbage can, but it was a big plastic tub that we had a Patagonian cave in, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, Jimmy, I lost this. I found it. We're good." And he's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" Like he didn't even know what was happening, right? So we walk off with that, and he goes, "That was my favorite thing." He goes, "I laughed so hard. I was watching that my hotel room. I was doing, you know, so whatever press for this." He goes, "God, it's so nice to meet you." I'm like, "Dude, Thrashing, Goonies." I'm naming all these movies. He's like, "What the hell with all these 80s movies?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're a legend, you know?" So he comes in the room and stuff, and we were talking, and he starts telling me about how his mom owned a wildlife sanctuary for like rehabbed animals and stuff. And he's like, over here, he's like, "Wolf bite, 1989, blah, blah, blah." So I drop my pants, I pull up my pants leg, but I couldn't pull it up, but I dropped my pants then. And I'm like, alligator bite, went right through my shin, thought his mouth was taped. He turned tooth broke off in my shin. At this point, the dressing room door opens. You have Josh Brolin with his shirt off, and my pants are down. And my brother opens the door, and he goes, "Oh, sorry. I wasn't on here, but I'm very sorry." And Josh Brolin's like, "Shut the door, asshole!" Like that. He goes, "We don't need everyone seeing this." And my brother like walks in, you know, and he's like, "Goofer," I called him dickhead. I called him something, we were laughing, and he sat down, and we were just out talking shop with him, and he was just a really cool dude too. So it was like one of those things where like you meet some of these people, and it's just like so cool to meet them and just talk like this, like normal dudes about like everyday, you know. And then people are like, "Where are you from?" You're like, "Buffalo." Or like, "Where's the best place to get wings?" Like that's the first thing people want to talk wings, because
Of course.
you start talking about that, and you know, it's super cool. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun experiences over the years on on that show. You know, a lot of the show, Steve Harvey, and yeah, man. Good morning. The Today Show. I'm still friends with Jason Kennedy since he co-hosted the Today Show, and I was messing with him the whole time and putting tarantula on his thing and trying to shove his head in the stuff. But that was back in the day, though, when you could do more of that stuff, and it was cool. Now you do something like that, and people are like, "That tarantula should be in the wild, not on somebody's lapel." You know, like it's just whatever, man. You know, it's in a fun way, but you're still educating them. They're still going to go to Google and look up red leg tarantula because they want to know more about it. So I feel like I did it in the educational entertainment where I go out there and act crazy and loud, and some people would be like, "He's coked up," or "He's obnoxious," or that's the way I did it. And I feel like if you're not laughing, you're not learning. And that's how I do my business today. Like people start laughing about stuff, and then they get into it and they want to learn more, and they want to hear more of the story. And then if I could save, you know, one animal because somebody saw something I did and wanted to learn about it, or I feel like I did a good job. You know, so that's my shtick. Jack Hanna would go on Letterman and act like, "Duh, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's Jack Hanna." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was his shtick, to pay the like goofy duh animal guy. Mine was I go out on the show and just take over. All those appearances you watch on YouTube, not one was planned. They had no idea what I was going to do. I just shot from the hip. Michael Shoemaker, the executive producer, tweeted years ago. He's like, "A lot of TV shows have animal guys. Our guy's the best because he's batshit crazy." And that was just like the thing, you know? And we just go out there and like, I'd make them turn the lights off. So I'd tell the crew, turn the lights off. I'd bust out black flashlights, and we'd put, you know, black lights over a scorpion, you know, or I'd tell the crew different things, and you'd go through a dress rehearsal so they could see which way you would hand off the animals and which way the animals would be, so it wouldn't ruin your TV experience where people would be walking in front of you and the cameras, and it looks bad on TV. So they would look to see how you'd be handing off the animals, but they're like, it's early on, it started as don't say anything, like don't, just keep everything, and then just go out there and let it rip. And it was funny because when we went on Fallon the first time, I love everything, like from hardcore. Shout out to my boys Terror in Buffalo, New York, hardcore. My boy Scotty V. Um, Everything from hardcore music, Knock Loose, and all that, to house music, to country music, to rap music. I love it all.
I
But a
love Knock
big
Loose.
thing to me growing up, yeah, dude, unbelievable. And every time I die, we're all my boys.
Dude,
I hung out with
that's
all
what I
those
was
guys.
gonna ask you. Was like, please tell me you
Yeah,
were in Buffalo and you went to at least one Every Time I Die show, because that has become one of my
me,
all-time favorite
me,
bands without a doubt.
Keith Buckley is a very good friend of mine. I'm
Oh,
in one of the hanging with the boys videos. Jordan Buckley, Mitch Kay, all those guys. I hung out with them. All the guys in the videos. They're all, we hung out through high school and everything. So like, yeah, it was the best. But
Motherfucker.
so I loved it all, and I got a story about them in a minute. But I loved them all, but the roots were like, I'm a big hip hop head, old school hip hop, Wu Tang, Nas, Gangstar, just unbelievable. And the roots, I was like, dude. So it turned into a little thing where if you watch it, I always walk out and I'm like, the roots, my boys. And then Jimmy took it as a joke and he's like, they don't even talk to you backstage. They don't even know who you are. Like, it turned into like this thing to make people laugh. And I would go hang out with Kamal and Questlove. And I'd go in the recording room and they would play stuff like Marvin Gaye, that he did the stuff Marvin Gaye did with the Roots that would blow your mind. It was just so cool, but it was like my way of paying homage to like one of the best hip hop bands ever, and it was like, so it turned into a thing like that where I'd come out and then it turned into like we'd make a joke about it, and if you watch a lot of those episodes, you can hear someone laughing super loud the whole time. It's freaking Questlove, and he's in the background laughing. And afterward, he'd say to me, "Where the hell did you come up with this shit? Do you think about this before you come here?" And I'm like, "I used to, but no, I just show up and we just wing it, and stuff just comes out, And I went on there. I listened to some Mike Jones on the way down to New York City because it's 6 hours from my door, and he said something in the song. One of the rap lyrics was like boss. He went boss hog on Candy, right? So I went on the set and I said something like, "Oh, don't be all boss hog." And Jimmy's like, "What did you say?" And the Roots lost it because they knew what it was about, Mike Jones, right? And
That's awesome.
and everyone's laughing. And Jimmy's like, "What is boss hog? Are we talking about Dukes of Hazzard?" And the Roots are dying, right? So I would do just funny things like that where you'd have to pay attention to pick up on the stuff. But it was just awesome, man. It was they're all still good dudes. I still chat with them. But it's funny going back to Every Time I Die thing. I did NRABC in Tinley just before COVID, and who was next to me was Ron St. Pierre. And growing up, old Iberian magazines, to me, he was like a god. I'm like, Ron St. Pierre, croc monitors, blue tegus, rhino iguanas. He's sitting right next to me. I'm like, this is crazy, right? So he's, and Ron, he's just kind of, to me, he kind of seems standoffish. He's just like, kind of like,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on his arm, it says, on his arm here is a tattoo. It says, "The coin has a say."
What?
So I
Does he
said to
really?
him, yeah, he loves Every Time I Die. And
For real?
that's the way I started. Yeah, I started talking
Holy
to him
shit.
at Tinley because I said to him, I go, "Coin has a say, you like E-Tid?" And he goes, "What?" I said, "You like Every Time I Die?" He goes, "How do you know that's from that?" I said, "What else would it be from?"
Right.
And he goes, "How do you know them?" I said, "Hang on a minute." I got my phone. I said, took a picture of it, sent it to Keith. I'm like, "Keith says hi, and he loves your tattoo." And he's like, "Get the fuck out of here," like that, And he goes, "Are you bullshitting me?" I said, "No, they're all my dudes, I'll get you something signed or whatever." And then all the shit went to COVID, and then everything just went to hell in a handbasket with them, and everything broke up.
I
And
feel bad because I really didn't get into them until the breakup happened, because that's when I started reading about them more, and then I checked them out.
yeah,
And then
they did the
like,
big Christmas shows. We went to all the
I've been
Christmas shows up
freaking hooked
here,
ever since, and I'm
and
so bummed because it was
yeah,
like
man, the big
wrong. I was a day late and
Christmas
dollar
things,
short.
and yeah, it was crazy because they were all on stage with me watching Knock Loose, and I'm 47 years old, dude. And Knock Loose comes out with that part where he's like, the drums coming, he's like, boom, boom, down, boom, boom, down. And then just before he's about to yell, I forgot the lyrics he yells, I go running, jump over the stage, the gap, of security, hit the crowd and start rolling. And they're all like, dude, you're 47 years old. And I'm like, I still got it though. I still fucking got it. I did the legs kicking up, like that, the old where you jump sideways and your legs kick and you just roll over. And my brother's out there who's younger than me, he's a state trooper. He's like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, dude, I'm feeling great. I won't be able to sit down on the toilet tomorrow morning, but I'm feeling good right now, But yeah, they were here. Keith and him did that song.
Forget Your Name.
Yes. That's lyrics. That song. I mean, Keith just fucking kills that. Like that. If you have an enemy in your life, that is the best song to ever listen to, because it's just like, wow. And I was in a hardcore band called Pride, and as it went on, straight edge hardcore band. Keith was straight edge. We were gonna add him as a second singer, and there's a song called Scarred. I gotta find it somewhere where he's screaming in the background, and I'm like, something goes. Those screams go unheard. Something unheard, and he keeps yelling "shallow" in the background. Dude, it's on cassette somewhere, but it was like fucking amazing. And like, we were gonna bring him on. We were gonna do this double singer thing and all that, which would have been so different in the hardcore world. And then, when you're younger, you're 18. This guy's girlfriend doesn't like this guy's girlfriend, or this one doesn't like this one, or this guy's mad because you're talking. And then the band falls apart. We're like, dude, we were in something good. Something good would have happened there. But then, you just get consumed with animals. They kept with the music, him and Jordan and everyone, and I went the animal route, So it was cool because I'd plug them on stuff on my Instagram, stuff for every time I die. And then they would do stuff like, check out our buddy, on Tonight Show tonight, blah, blah, blah. And they talk about different podcasts and things. So it was cool. They're just good dudes, man. Friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, from a lyrical standpoint, man, I feel like the Every Time I Die stuff, whether that was Keith, I'm assuming, was the main writer, but like some of it's just so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, dude, it's
I don't know how he just managed to do that many good songs, like lyrically, like to put together a catalog like that and then be consistently just phenomenal. It's just unreal.
And that last album, it's so sad they broke up, because that last album, they could have rode that forever. I mean, that album was phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal. And then you got Andy Williams, love him, but he's, he went to do the whole Butcher and the Blade, the WW or AWE wrestling and all that. And, they all kind of went their own ways for different things, but man, they could rode that for a while because it was crazy. Just absolutely amazing album.
Yeah, that's one of very few bands where like their earlier stuff just doesn't do as much for me. But it's like they aged so well. Yeah. And I don't know if it's mostly because of a production thing, like those first two albums, the production was more rough, but given we were talking like, early 2000s, it is what it is. But they just
and they kind of came into their own too.
Yeah.
They just went from being a lot more like a Converge, more like metal noise craziness, to more riffs and Keith singing over. I mean, that one song where he screams in the beginning and he holds it forever, and then there's a YouTube video with it, and Jordan's in the recording studio and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, I mean, he was like, I don't even know how. I tried doing it in a car by myself, listening to it screaming to see if I could even hold up, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna pass out. Like, I don't even know how I did it. It was insane. I texted him after that, and I'm like, dude, you're an animal. Like, you're an animal. Yeah, it's wild.
That's awesome.
So good. I had no idea that Ron was into him that much, or knew him at all, really.
Yeah, Ron loves all that. He loves all that metal and stuff, but he's like, they're one of my favorite bands. And when he had that the tattoo down his arm there, I was like, no way. So that was like my icebreaker to talk to Ron. And then I got his number and we'd text back and forth about stuff and about bands and stuff. And then the COVID shit when that was going on, and he was, and I don't do the Tinley stuff anymore, but he was like, yeah, make sure you have a table next to me. And it was cool. It was pretty cool to meet him. He's a legend, dude. He's a legend. Friggin' Ron St. Pierre. Plus, he's got a cool ass name, Ron St. Pierre.
Yeah.
Like badass.
It's like a Bond villain.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. So it was
Dude,
cool.
Everything
Just,
he
and I
touches
was
is
just,
golden.
yeah, he's doing something right. You know, he keeps everything, and then he's kind of like, it's funny because I'm like, just when I catch up, I'm like, okay, he's breeding these monitors now. He's got, nope, it's all gone now. The monitor cages have frill lizards in them, and you know this and that, and then he's getting rid of this and breeding this and getting rid of this. I'm like, man, he's moving right along. I was hoping to get some lace from him and stuff when he was going to start breeding those, but he got rid of it all before I could even,
Well, he's back in the blue tongue, so if you want to go that route.
Yeah, that's what I heard, man. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard with the albinos. That's like the big thing. I just got some ivories. I just picked up some ivories from, believe it or not, a freaking Petco.
What?
Dude, believe it, like people don't realize Petco every now and then gets some really oddball high-end stuff sometimes.
So
really?
Yes.
Petco had some ivory blue tongues, and the girl I know that works there, shout out to Jess, she's great. She was like, come in next Saturday. It's a reptile rally. They're half price. So I went and got them there like $400.
Yep.
Wow.
And I was like, what? I remember I was looking at my line and like, I don't know if I want to spend $1,500 for them. Then they came down like 12. I'm like, do I want to spend $1,200? Then I saw my shows up here. People had them for like $1,000, $1,500, $12. And then I'm like, this is crazy. I would never, ever do that ever. I went in to get freaking dog food, and I was buying like, is that a ivory blue tongue? And it just said Northern Blue Tongue Skink, $7.99 or whatever, $8.99 or $9.99, whatever it was, and got her half off and whatever else she hooked me up with. But I'm like, this is crazy.
That's wild, man.
So yeah, I love the blue tongue. So I'm like, I'll mess with some ivories, see what the hell happens there.
I walked into the closest one we have here, which is probably a 45-minute drive, but like I walked in and they had a Brachypelma classy, which is the Mexican pink tarantulas, and it was like $150 on the shelf. And then it was Labor Day, so they had a Labor Day sale, so it was like marked down. And then I told the lady that I would cup it for her if she didn't want to, and she said sure. And then she gave me an extra 10% off that, so I ended up getting that thing for under $100.
Nice.
That's awesome.
The sales and everything.
Score.
So she's like, "I'll give you 10% off if you cup it." I was like, "Hell yeah!" Because I brought my own cup and everything. I was like, "We're gonna put it in a fucking cardboard box or some shit." So I brought a cup, or I don't think they were, but I just brought a deli cup just in case because I knew
hamster
that's
cup.
what they did right. So
Right.
I was like,
yeah,
"You want me to get it?" She's like,
box.
"Sure, yeah." So I did that. She's like, "I'll give you an extra 10% off." I was like,
that's like So I got him in quarantine because I'm not bringing anything near anything until I know he's good and solid and he's in there for a while. But it's funny because it reminds me when I went there, my son wanted White's tree frogs so bad, and they had the nice little ones. I think they get them from Josh's Frogs or something. And so I go and pick them up, and I'm like, "Do you have a deli cup?" They're like, "Oh, we have the beta cups, but we can't give them out anymore." I'm like, "Okay, can we put them in that?" No. We got to put them in this box. That's how the animal specialist tells us to do it. I'm like, okay. So they put them in there. Dude, I lost 4 White's tree frogs in my car for like 2 weeks. I don't know how they didn't die. The 2 of them lived because they got into the lid and were sitting in my coffee. They drank coffee through their ass. Yeah.
That's amazing.
They sat with their butts, Yeah, and I found all of them, 4 for 4. The one
Just
morning
wired.
I'm in there, it's like, I mean, they were probably like 2 inches long or so, like one that sat there forever. And the one started calling, then the other one started calling. I found that one behind the spare tire in the back of the transit van. Then I found the other one up the front, and then I was like, oh man. So I got them, and then I looked down, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what happened, but I went to open the coffee lid thing, and I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, there's 2 tree frogs in my coffee cup. So we got them all, and they're still living to this day. But thank God I left a little coffee in there. Yeah, so they were over caffeinated for a few days, but they made it. So ever since then, I was like, dude, I can't be going to Petco and getting freaking reptiles in a cardboard box,
That's wild, man.
Well, now that I see that they get like their tarantulas and stuff, they get some actually pretty interesting stuff, and their prices aren't terrible. You know, I'm like, all the time, like every weekend, I'm like, talk to my wife, like, you want to go to Petco? She's like, you're not going and getting a spider. It's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Dude, and this time of year, they get a ton of them in, and then people don't buy them, and then they go down to like half price after Halloween, you know? So you're in luck. You just go in there, and they had a bottle blue in there. I'm not big on those. Like, besides, I have the Mexican fire legs, the Mexican red knees, Choco white knees, just for my programs and stuff.
Yeah.
And they had a couple bottle blues, and I was like, oh, dude, I should buy just to set them up to, you know, they're just beautiful, you know? And
I'm trying to show some restraint with the inverts currently, and I am struggling very, very, very hard.
With the invert people, dude, it's like crazy. Like, it's so easy because you can keep them in little. They fry it in deli cups, so people just go. And next thing you know, they have like like I see pictures online of just shelves of shells, and I'm like, I would lose my mind. I don't even know what I would do. You know, is I would lose control. I'd be like, I don't know what to do with all these things. You know,
I know what I'm about to say is rookie numbers compared to real spider people, but when I made the decision to start getting rid of inverts, I had over 105 6-inch delis on a shelf, just stacked with scorpions and a handful of tarantulas. And it's like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Why do I? It's a lot of deli cups. I'm crazy.
Yeah,
it's time to get rid of stuff.
But it's like addicting because I feel like when people go to shows, they're not like, oh, it's like getting another bearded dragon. It's like, not just another tarantula, and he can live in this giant 9-inch deli for the next year and a half. So $50,
if not longer than that.
And then
Exactly.
it gets boom, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And it gets crazy. But like, I got into it a little bit, and then that's where I started having to kind of like tighten it up, where I was like, I can use the Mexican red knees. I can use the Choco white knees. I can use the fire legs because, you know, those two, I actually got those from Petco years ago, and the girl there was like always handling them and stuff, and they got huge, and they're like, they got to go. So I ended up getting those, and then I use them for my talks. And then I had the giant African millipedes, which breed for me like crazy. I get babies out of those, and I had the emperor scorpions forever, and I just lost my last female emperor, and I can't get into those the Asian long claws or whatever, Asian forests. I'm not a big fan of those. I want to get some nice emperors again, but they're like impossible to find.
Yeah, man, we used to get shipments, legitimate shipments from Sierra Leone. We used to get like 9-inch long emperors, and I had multiple pairs and babies, and we used to pay like $5 each. God. And I can't even imagine what those things would be worth now.
I know. I used to go to the Hamburg Reptile Show, and they'd have like 200 of them in a tub, and they were like 5 for $20. And the guy's like, you know what? It's close to Halloween. Take 2 more on me. I'm like 7 emperor scorpions. I'm looking at them, you know, and I'm like, all right, girl, all right, female. Okay. And I'd set them up, and I bred them for years, and I would do talks with them, you know, with the babies on mom's back. And God, I miss those. The emperors are just the coolest, man. You just don't see them anymore like you used to. They're like, God, I love those. But see, I love that where I got the old PetSmart reptile enclosure things.
Oh, like
the big cabinet? Black.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I had a couple of friends of mine. I just got one, you know, a couple of years ago, and then I just got one the other day. So I spray paint them black, and then those are my, the one's my bug unit, where I just keep all the bugs in there, and they have stupid big cages for bugs that are in there. But it just looks cool. It lights up. It's in the lobby of my facility, so it's like you look in there. I get some albino red-eared sliders, and the bug rack with all the bugs with the lights over them and stuff, and then a emerald tree boa set up all cool, you know, with like an old clock like thing, and then, you know, they had that set up there. But you know, so I had to restrain myself, like you said, because I saw myself. I go to the shows with my son, and I'm like, look at this tarantula, look at, because, you know, I love it. Oh, look at these beetles, look at it. He's like, Dad, and he's 14 now. He's like, Dad, you're bringing out a tarantula or a giant millipede. No one's gonna care about that tiny little beetle. And I'm like, yeah, but they're death fledging beetle. And you get in there and it's like you talk to people that are like normal everyday people, even though they grew up around this. They're like, Dad, no one's gonna care. Don't get them.
I can make it work.
And then you leave the show. Yeah, and you leave the show and you're kind of like, you know what? Thanks, Joe. You were right. You saved me a couple bucks, and yeah, I would have got them and then been like, why did I get these? You know, because
they're
I'm bringing them out to
awesome.
a show and there's yeah. But see, I love it, but I'm going to bring it out to a show with 100 people, and I'm going to be like, look at these people, and people are going to be like, I can't. What? You know?
Yeah.
So I had to, like you said, I had to get control, because next thing you know, I'm going to have 15 PetSmart racks, buying them off of Craigslist or wherever they can find them, and put more bugs in them, you know?
Yep. Well, if it makes you feel better, if it makes you feel better, my most recent herp trip out west, I found one of the black phase ones, and I was like, oh my God, a fading beetle. And I scooped him up in my hand and I was holding him. And then like, he like ran off my hand and landed on the floor and was like dead. And I was like, oh my God, I dropped it and killed it. And I was like, wait a minute, it's faking death. And I like looked at it closely and like poked it with my finger, and he was like, oh shit, I'm on the ground again, and like got back up and scampered away. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It worked.
So dude, I envy you guys. I envy you with those out west trips and that, because it's one thing I never did that I always wanted to do, was like catch a rattlesnake.
You still can,
in the wild,
bro.
see a rattlesnake in the wild. I got to get out.
You still can. You know what I mean?
It's just hard. It's hard because I was gonna do it in September last year, and then next thing you know, I had 2 kangaroos. The moms weren't feeding. I had 2 lemurs that got kicked off mom. So then I turned into Mr. Mom, with between me and my wife bottle feeding everything and handle. And I'm like, what am I? I can't leave now. I'm gonna go to Arizona and leave all these things here to be bottle fed. I just feel like
how old's your son now?
Bad, 14.
Okay, he's old enough to do it. Just stick him with it.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I just.
Why you have kids, right? Labor.
Right. I listen to you guys. I listen to you and Nipper talk about this stuff, and I'm like, God, man, I gotta get out there and freaking see something like that under, what are those bushes? Like they always talk about the big, not sage bush, the big like
creosote,
dead bush looking. Yes.
Yeah.
Creosote bush. Yeah. And just have a nice like sidewinder curled up. I'd lose my mind. No one would want to go with me, because I would just start screaming and dancing and like yelling. And
what do you think we do?
Kid's ridiculous.
We do this exact same thing.
Do you do the same thing? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I'd fit right. I would lose my shit.
It's hilarious.
Just to see one in the wild.
It's hilarious because everyone's quiet and like they don't want to disturb nature, and like we have little radios just in case we get too far away, or we'll be like, hey, over here, I got something, or whatever, and then the minute we all converge, it's just screaming and yelling and laughter, and it's like, oh yeah, we forgot we're trying to be quiet.
Dude, I would lose it. See, like, and there's so many times, like I was supposed to go look for pygmies when I was up near when I was when I was down like southern Florida area. I was supposed to go for easterns and pygmies, and then I get down there and the kids that we were supposed to go with had food poisoning, and then he's like, I can't leave my house, and that, why don't we just like hang out here? And I'm like, man, I'm here, prime rattlesnake country, and I'm at Cracker Barrel, because the only thing you can eat with food poisoning
playing with
is
little pig game thing. Yeah.
Dude, son of a bitch. And then it's like, and then the one time I'm like, okay, we went to go get an animal out of Texas, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna go night herping or whatever. Well, we got lost on a dirt road near the Mexican border. I'm like, these lights are chasing after me, coming out of the middle of nowhere. Scary as shit. Me and Big Mike's like 300 pounds, and we're both in a Ford Festiva, because when we got to the airport, there was nothing. It was the scariest hunk of shit car I've ever had in my life. And we ended up getting like lost near the Mexican border, and in my headlights, just a big rattlesnake on the middle of the ground. I'm like, there's a rattlesnake. And it's like, you get out of the car, I'm gonna murder you. Keep going, right? I'm just like, you saw it right in the headlights, because you're going like bumping over the road and stuff. But like these headlights came out, and then the guy that we went down there and got the animal from called us. We were driving. It was like 4 a.m. He's like, "Are you guys alive? Are you safe?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay," because there's a a friend of mine told me someone at the border, or someone down the one road or whatever was killed, and they took their jeans and their money and their jewelry and all this stuff. And I was just like, holy shit. And that was the road he told us not to go down, but I was lost. And, it was like, wow, it was scary. But like people were coming out of the middle of nowhere. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not the safest thing to be jumping out of the car looking for rattlesnakes right now. So every time I was going to do something, I was down in Houston, and I did their Nature Fest. And then Andy Maddox texted me, reached out to me he's like, dude, you're in Houston. You got to come to the shop. And he's such a good dude. I've talked to him for years. And I got I got a bunch of snakes from him over the years. And
it's got awesome stuff.
He was like, yeah, you got to,
yeah,
he does. He's like, you got to come to the shop. So I ended up coming to the shop with him and that. He's like, oh man, too bad you're not around for another day or so. So I'm like, are there rattlesnakes around here? He's like, no, you got to go more West Texas, I think it was. So he's like, if you're around a couple of days, if I had a day off, I'd take you out there and I'd show you a rattlesnake. I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm in Texas and I came to see a rattlesnake, But yeah, so it was cool to see his shop with him and see someone face to face that you just kind of talk to on the phone and stuff. And
oh yeah,
man. So it was
that's
cool.
awesome.
But yeah, I get so close, but yet so far away. Like someone would call me up here because we have timbers up around here. And they're like, there's this timber up near this campsite. I'm like, I'm a half hour away. I'll come see it if you think it's going to stay. And I start driving. I almost get there, and they're like, oh, dude, he just went up the. I'm like, oh. I drove all the way here to see like a timber in the wild. Like that's one thing that, I would love to see, or that, rattlesnakes in the wild. I'm going to do it. I have to.
You got to do it, man. And you do all these shows and expos and conventions and seminars, and you just got to factor in that extra day or two, just squeeze it in,
That's well, it's funny because I went to Snake Farm when I was in Texas when we got off the plane and we were driving through, and I went down the highway and I'm like, holy shit, Snake Farm. So I pulled off the road, went in there to go look at all their animals and everything there, and it's just pop in and do that. And now I try to plan things out like that where we go down. It's funny. It is so funny because I went to Houston and I actually did what you said. I planned it out where I'm like, screw this. I'm going to go down a day ahead of time. So we get down there, we do all this press, and I'm like, who's down here? Chris Dieter. So I had the girl in my office email him, because I'm like, I don't know how to reach out to this guy. I'm not going to be like, hey, dude, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just weird. And I don't want to be like, hey,
yeah,
I go by Jeff, the animal guy, whatever. So I had her reach out, and he's like, yeah, we're around this now. So we shoot to his place. He comes walking out. I'm like, the man, the myth, the legend. And I'm like, I am not worthy. Crocodiles and crocodilians in captivity. And he's just the nicest dude. We ended up going to dinner and hanging out and bullshit. And then it was just so nice. So that it was awesome. So I try to do that now. Anytime I'm doing any of the stuff, and they usually have someone else booking it for you or whatever, I'll start, because the internet now, you just get on there, you start looking everything up. And I'm like, can you book me to come down a day ahead of time, and or leave a day later or something?
Or you leave your nights free. You do your afternoon stuff. That way you can road cruise at night, wake up a little late in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be freaking awesome, dude. That would be so sweet.
Yeah, and I gotta do it. Our buddy Jeff Fredericks in the chat, and he's saying Mike Curtin or Owen McIntyre can definitely put you on a timber in your neck of the woods, even if you got to go down a PA. We got guys that'll help you out for sure.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Because I see all these photos where they're like in PA somewhere. I'm sure I see it when I go to the Hamburg show and I'm driving through those hills, and you see them like. The pictures like the highway down below, and you see like all these timbers up near a den site, and I'm like, oh god, what I would do to see that spot, and just like I would lose my mind.
Yeah, man.
But I just stare at the photo for half hour and save it on my phone and go back and look at it later and take pictures of where they are so I can set up for my timbers so that they can look like where they're living.
Sounds like you've got enough kangaroos. It's time to go field herping.
You got that right. Right for sure. Yeah. Or find somewhere to bring the kangaroos to, that a zoo that wants kangaroos, so I can bring them with me and get them to the zoo, and then not worry about having kangaroos with you, and then you can go field work. You know?
That's true. That's best of both worlds.
Side note:
Mm-hmm.
Can a grown man beat a kangaroo, or is a kangaroo going to win that fight?
Ooh, this is
Kangaroo's
good.
going to kill you. Kangaroo's going to kill you.
Like
I
actually
have
physically
Rex.
kill you, or like
Oh,
metaphorically
he will
kill you?
Their toes. They have two nails here for grooming, one on this side for balance, and then they have another one for actual. The one in the middle is for disemboweling.
Like cassowaries.
Yeah, so they go up and they just kind of, or removing testicles. Because I don't know if you know this, but they can lower their testicles and they can pull them right back up.
Same.
And a kangaroo's whole thing, yeah, I figured, Smitty, you look like someone that could do that. But
Nice.
only on the weekends. Only on the
major,
weekends. Right.
major Kegel exercises.
It's a weird talent.
At a Cracker Barrel before you go to Petco for the discounted tarantulas.
Just suck them up for the yeah.
Right. So like the way their anatomy is, it's like their testicles are like their belly, like where their belly button would be, almost a little bit lower there.
Same.
Like us, we have our man piece and then the testicles. The kangaroos have their testicles and then their man piece. And
that's unfair.
My male, Rex, he'll stand and then just drop them and just be like, "What's up?" And then he's like, "You want to go to battle?" He'll start doing this, right, flexing, and then he'll pull those bad boys right back up and he'll come for you. And the thing about him was he was bottle raised from a baby, and the place we got him from was feeding him Esbalac, which is puppy milk. So he had a cataract in one eye, and he would stare at you with black eyes. I have photos of him on Jeff Animal Guy on my Instagram, and the people that work for me are like, "Dude, he can see in your soul." And it just looks like this, like someone tattooed his eye with this like line and the circle and a line. It looks like a glass eyeball, and he just stares at you. And I've had things where most of the time he'll stay away from you. But like I had my USDA inspectors take pictures of him, and they're like, "That's the biggest male kangaroo we've ever seen." And the only one that I've seen that rivals him is the male that I saw at Chris Dieter's. But I said, "My male's that big," and he's like, "There's no way." I'm like, "Oh no, he is." We named him Rex because he's got the little arms like a T-Rex. And I went in, I was checking the one mom's pouch, making sure the baby was okay. Next thing you know, everything went upside down. He picked me up, body slammed me. I landed on my shoulder. That's why the shoulder's kind of still down.
Wow.
Smashed me to the ground and then tried stomping his feet to bust out. Because kangaroos, fun fact, can't move 1 foot. They have to move 2 feet at the same time. So
tactical advantage, Phil.
Yeah.
Both feet come down. And he's trying to bust out my ribcage. So I grabbed on the one wall and flung myself into the next enclosure where I had my emus, Lloyd and Harry, from Dumb and Dumber. And
awesome.
they were plucking me in the face. The one was trying to eat my earbud. And I'm like, "Dude, I hate you guys." And it was so like it's all on a Ring camera. And my wife's like, "You should put that out somewhere." I'm like, "Absolutely not." But I'm just like swearing. And I'm like, "Son of a bitch," yelling. I'm like, "Motherfucker. I hate my life. I hate this. I hate animals. I hate everything." And I was just like, dude, I'm covered in kangaroo shit, emu shit. Oh, yeah, dude. There was a lot of the "fuck you" Rexes yelled, too. And, yeah, I was like,
maybe I can't.
Yeah, they are. Dude, they're badasses. When I move him, I grab his tail and, like, make him hop into another stall when we're cleaning things or moving him outside for the day. His tail is round as a parking curb.
Wow.
And it's muscular. Like, it's honestly, I don't fear many animals. I fear him. I'll go in with him, but he is dangerous.
Like, so now I'm second guessing myself and my ability to beat one.
Well, I was gonna say that video, that viral video of the guy like cold cocking him to save his dog. Yeah. That's just luck, right?
That was luck, and that was an eastern gray kangaroo. So that's more like a wallaby than a red kangaroo. There's that one infamous video on YouTube where they show that red kangaroo, and this guy's at a zoo with a kid, and he's like talking to him, and he's like, "Well," and he's got like a 48 pack, and he's just like flexing and red in the pole, and that's a red kangaroo. Like that, my male, when he gets up like that, he's probably 7'4".
Wow.
And every bit of 250 pounds, 225 pounds.
Jeez.
I mean, he is no joke. And then we have a bunch of females, and he is a monster. I mean, he's a monster. There's no other way to put it. And I try to be cool around him, but he can feel it. They can pick up on vibes, like a lot of animals, but the kangaroos especially, he can pick up on like, okay, this person's a little nervous, I'm going for him. And it's like if I have my workers come in to put the food in there, he'll do one of these, like stomp on the ground, and they fling the food everywhere, and it's all over the floor. And I'm like, I'll walk back there in the barn, and I'm like, he's like, Rex came at me. I'm like, I figured. He knew, newbie, I'm going for him, and he flung the food everywhere. And normally you give him a flake of hay, and he'll beat up on the hay, rub it all over him, pee on it, rub it all over himself, and then you can do whatever you need to do in the enclosure, move him outside, do whatever. But yeah, man, it's a wild life, no pun intended. But,
that's wild,
yeah,
man. That's wild.
Yeah,
I was feeling really confident and sure that I could beat one, but now I'm
maybe the Eastern gray kangaroo, like the one that guy was punching in the face. You might be able to go a couple rounds with him or whatever. But they're tough. And those claws, they grip you with the claws, and they're no joke. They are no joke. You don't think that because you're like, oh, kangaroos, they're just gonna cuddle you and ride around in a pouch. Yeah, no, they're built. They're built Aussie tough for a reason.
Epic. Well, bro, we are past the 2-hour mark, but one thing I definitely, before we do closing remarks, you got a chance to meet the one and only crocodile hunter. Do you mind telling us about that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was funny because, like we talked about with celebrities and stuff, I just talk to people like they're normal people. I try to educate people about animals, and we got a call, and they were like, hey, we need Australian animals for the crocodile hunter. And I'm like, there's no way. Because he's not bringing Australian animals here. He gets a hold of his connections to bring the animals and stuff. And through somebody for, I don't know if it was Good Morning America or one of the shows. Everything's a blur at this point, but I think it was Good Morning America. We brought Wolma, black-headed python, sulfur-crested cockatoo, kangaroo, and then they wanted 20 years ago, at least, if not longer now at this point. I can't believe, I still think I'm 25, so this isn't even possible, but
nice.
It's like 20-something years ago. It was just when his TV show was really starting to pick up. Yeah, because I'm 47. It may even be longer than that, dude. It might even be like 30 years ago, 27 years ago.
It's fine.
Insane.
It's cool. We're not that old. It's cool.
No, yeah, I'm just thinking it freaked me out when I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
So we brought this alligator for him and everything. I met Terry, and I was like, oh, is he there? Or are they going to do something and like green screen it? Because you never know. You show up and they're like, here's a crocodile hunter. He's via whatever. You're going to stand here and hold him. His wife's going to hold him, and he's going to come across the green screen or what. So I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't think we were going to meet him till like a dress rehearsal or whatever it was. He comes walking out, and they're like, oh, let's show Steve the alligator. It's about 4 feet. Let's go show Steve. Or go show John. John is his like guy that did everything for him and put him on the shows and stuff. So I was walking around to show John. The showrunner brought me over to show him to make sure this, and then we were going to get Steve to make sure this alligator was good size or whatever. Because we had that and we had a baby with us. And all of a sudden, this door opens, this room, and the door swings open. And he's like, crikey, Terry, I can't wear this. Look how tight it is. This tight. These are brand new. Why didn't you bring my old shorts? He's like complaining about his old, I call it his UPS outfit, like his Dickies. It looks like a UPS driver. And he goes, and the guy goes, Steve, Jeff, Steve. He's going to provide you with all the Australian stuff in your alligator. And dude, I don't get starstruck, but I was just like, all I remember is I went, because this guy Mike was with me at the time. He still calls me to this day and leaves me voicemail texts where he's going, and then he hangs up, because that's what I did literally. I go, and he goes, what's wrong, mate? Cat got your tongue? You talk? You got a sore throat? What's going on? And then they like brought him over, and he's like, nice to meet you, bloke. And he like shook my hand, and I didn't even. This is back in the day of like cell phones, where you had like a Nokia cell phone. You were taking cell phone photos at the time. You don't have a camera with you. You're like, holy shit! I just met the crocodile hunter. I couldn't talk. I looked like an idiot. and he gets whisked off, and then you do the segment when you bring the animals out for him, hand them off, this and that, and then afterward they're like, oh, well, I'll take a group photo for you and this and that. Well, afterward he gets whisked off to wherever they're going next, and you're just the last person leaving the room with animals, and you're just like, damn, that would have been cool. And I was like, I'll meet him again. We started doing a lot of stuff for Animal Planet and that. I'm like, I'll meet him again at one of these months or something and get a photo with him. Actually talk to him. But
yeah. And the alligator and been like, man, be careful. You know what you're doing with these things? They're dangerous.
Yeah, right, dude. Yeah. Nowadays, that's what I would have did, being the smart ass that I am. But back then, it was like, you know what I mean? And it was just like one of those, fanboy moments, I guess you could say.
Steve, I don't know if you're familiar with these, but this is a black-headed python.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's still super cool, man. Shake Steve Irwin's hand. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely cool, But yeah, it's funny because a lot of people, it's funny because I'll do different podcasts and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, a lot of people don't even know. Like, I walk the walk. Like, I have the animals. I do this day in and day out. This is my whole life. I eat, sleep, breathe, dream animals. I don't want to eat animals, but when I'm eating cereal, I think about animals. But It's just animals all the time, So it's like, it's just funny because people are like, wait, you have what? Wait, you have what? Like we were talking about earlier, they just think, oh, you just go on TV personalities. Because I did one podcast, people are like, who supplies your animals? I'm like, I do. They're like, I know, but who do you get them from? I'm like, me. No, like, really, who brings out? Like, they go, we saw you on Eastbound and Down. You had a spider monkey. I'm like, yeah, Bella, that's mine. No, where did you get the anteater from? I'm like, that was mine. His name is Hoover, like a vacuum cleaner, So it's just like, so people would be like, wait, what? The rough lemur. Yeah, his name's Zulu. Yep, I've had him 20 years. And they're like, wait, what? So it's just funny because, it was just when I started doing it, we started getting more and more gigs and more TV stuff because people were like, oh, this is the dude that had. So that's why Steve Irwin, I respected him so much because that's what he did. You know what I mean? He just didn't go on and do the TV thing. He had the stuff. He walked the walk. We sat down with him. He could probably tell you how to cure a respiratory infection on a Walmart. You know what I mean? Not just like, you hand him a snake and he's like, what is this? Where's it from? What is
personality wasn't staged like everything else is.
Yeah.
Currently it feels like that's the
real deal. Yeah, real deal.
That's awesome. That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a hell of an ending to this. I love it.
Yeah, this is a blast. Anytime, man. Let me know. You guys want me for anything? I'm down. I like to talk. I like to talk animals.
It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, if people want to get a hold of you or see all of your craziness, where's the best way to get a hold of you or check it out? I know Instagram and whatnot.
Best stuff. I do a lot. Like, my daughter made me do a TikTok, but I'm not the biggest TikToker, but I put some stuff on there. Jeff Animal Guy. At Jeff Animal Guy. And that'll get you Instagram. That'll get you TikTok. It's like Jeff Musial on Facebook. Nickel City Reptiles and Exotics is my business name. That's got a separate, it's a mouthful, but that's a separate account too. It's just all animals on there. But yeah, that's the best way to do it. Jeff Musial, .com, I think, is another one. You get on there, the website and stuff, and bookings and all that kind of stuff through there. And we're hopefully eventually going to be opening up to do like private tours and things like that. So it'll be pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this episode, as always, is brought to you by blackboxcages.com. Check them out on Facebook, on Instagram. Use code THN24 at checkout. Get a little something off. Save on shipping. There's a pickup option if you're near North Georgia, and assuming you're not trapped by downed roads and trees and things like that currently, save on shipping and pick up your stuff from Black Box Direct. See the operation, meet Jen, meet Clint. Good people, cool setup. And then hop on over to fullviewsapparel.com, get yourself some stuff. Use code THN at checkout as well. Get 15% off your orders. The exclusive promo code for THN listeners and viewers like you. And then Cold-Blooded Caffeine. You need the good coffee. You need the Snakes and Stogies blend. You need all the other good offerings they have available. Signature blends, house blends. They got it. You want it. I don't know if Flippington is happening Thursday or if THP is happening Thursday. If Flippington is happening Thursday, then Arachnids is happening Thursday. So we will get that sorted out. I've been meaning to message Jake all day, but I've been crazy busy all day, so I just haven't sat down and done it. So either way, something else is coming later this week. So we will see everybody later.
And if you haven't listened to the most recent episode of Venom Exchange Radio, episode 27 is out with Dr. Kevin Messenger.
It's so good. It's so good.
I wish we had time to do more. We got to get him back on, so, especially now that not to ruin anything, but he finally found his Fees Viper. So,
one of my favorite dudes, so man. Cool.
Yeah, the man.
It was an awesome episode.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Everyone have a good evening.
Bye.
Awesome. See you guys. Thanks so much.